There's Jiawen. Good to see you again, Lise. And awesome. So our first panel discussion today, it's going to go for about an hour. And just some ground rules real quickly throughout the entire summit. We are recording this and we will put up bits and pieces of it on the Startup Grind local YouTube channel. It is being live streamed as well. And if you have a question, you're going to see just on the right side of the Bevy platform there is a Q&A tab. Throughout each of these sessions, we will open up the floor to Q&A so that you can get a question in. But without further ado, why don't we kick things off right now? I'm going to turn it over to Denise Matthews. She is the Startup Grind Gibraltar Director. She is waking up on a very early morning in Europe and to join us for this summit. And she will be moderating the panel today. So Denise, why don't you just get started and take it away and introduce our panelists.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Curtis. And thank you to our panelists for joining today. Really excited about this session. There is a lot going on around Web3. And I'm going to kick off by saying, why don't we just get you guys to introduce yourselves one by one? Maybe Lisa, you can start.
Sure. Thank you, Denise. Hello, everyone. Glad to meet you on this virtual stage. And thank you, Startup Grind, Denise, for the invitation. I'm Lise Li, head of BSV Blockchain China Hub with Bitcoin Association. Our association is a global nonprofit organization headquartered in Zug, Switzerland, and dedicated to build a regulation-friendly ecosystem for BSV blockchain, which is the original Bitcoin with stable protocol and massive scaling capacity. And my company and my team is based in Shanghai, China. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Jiawen, would you like to take the stage?
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Denise. Hi, everyone. I'm Jiawen. I'm COO of Mintable. Mintable is an NFT marketplace that's been, that serves users from all around the world. We've been around since 2018. We are Series A funded. Some of our investors include Mark Cuban, Ashton Kutcher, Mark Benioff, Animoca, and some of the other top funds in the world. Personally, I've been in crypto for a long, long time. Other than NFTs, I love every other aspect from it, from the normie trades to the DeFi trades. Thanks.
So Abbas, over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Abbas Salim Khan. I am the CEO of Optera Digital. I've got a 20-plus year career in games and animation. I've been building virtual worlds and games and communities in one form or another for many years. For the past several years, 7 years ago, I got into XR, AR, VR. And for the past several years, I've actually been building an NFT-based ad mediation system for people building virtual worlds. And we are running BSV blockchain right now. We're building it on that. So just a little heads up there.
So it's full circle. For me, it's very early this morning, so you're going to excuse a few of my, hiccups and just waking up here in Gibraltar. So I'm going to start with Lisa, because I feel like blockchain technology is really sitting at the top of everything that has come out of the Bitcoin to Web3. So in your view, what are the advantages and why should the technology be adopted?
Well, first of all, before we start this topic, I want to present my understanding and definition of Web 3.0, in case we are not building things on the same basis. So Web 3.0 is a concept of the next era of internet. It's hard to describe accurately how it's going to be like, the same as people from a century ago couldn't describe modern life with accurate words because most technology we rely on today didn't exist back then. However, I believe the current situation of the internet business model, which is mainly based on the online advertising, where several giant tech companies occupies the majority of value of the industry, is going to be totally changed by the Web 3.0. So that's my understanding of this. As what I just said, the internet users, which are pretty much all the human beings on this planet today, are expecting a new order in the internet world where people can regain control of their data from those super platforms, such as Facebook, Twitter, all of that, and monetize their innovation and creative content by themselves, where people's valuable data won't be lost or tampered when those platforms fail, where startups can still have opportunities rather than being crashed by those giant tech companies. So most people are convinced today by this vision. That's why Web 3.0 is becoming such a popular hot topic recently. However, it's easy to say, but difficult to achieve. So there are various of discussions around this concept. Even though people haven't got a common agreement on the definition of this, we all think Web 3.0 must be powered by blockchain technology. Of course, we also need other techs, but blockchain is one of the most fundamental ones. Why? Because we've already seen the blockchains help users, help individuals truly control their own digital assets, their own data, which is one of the significant pain spots in the internet industry for the past 10 years. So I think a real blockchain system creates a peer-to-peer, user-to-user basis system that can transfer information and value all together simultaneously, at the same time, securely, without a necessary trusted third party. That's the key of a blockchain technology. Why I emphasize real blockchain technology? Because nowadays a lot of blockchains aren't even real blockchains. Lots of blockchain projects are not even built on blockchain networks. They just use the blockchain term to perhaps lure investment or even to scam. And we've seen a lot of this happen before, right? So today we're not going to discuss the past blockchain implementations had good reasons or not, or whether these existing digital assets, tokens, NFT, Metaverse projects are legit or not. All these attempts, I believe, all these attempts of new technology is of value, and all the failures and the chaoses are inevitable. For every new thing, it's inevitable. But I believe either fungible or non-fungible tokens, or the recent popular term DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations, will be more common in the real life in the future. And those attempts are essential steps for us to enter Web3. So the data controlled by super platforms, we wanted to give it back to the users through blockchain technology. When your data is put on the blockchain, your data is written on a distributed data ledger without a trusted third party and with a timestamp that all parties can trust. Your data no longer relies on a single point or a centralized platform or a centralized institution. So when your counterparties want to use, verify, or utilize your data, the blockchain system can facilitate you to do that. The blockchain can help you record, verify, and monetize your data via an on-chain transaction, right? That's our understanding of the real blockchain technology. So I actually have been in blockchain area for several years. Before Web 3.0, there were similar terms in blockchain, like blockchain 2.0, right? Stands for Ethereum, which claim they are better than Bitcoin. And blockchain 3.0, which generally stands for all other blockchain projects who claim themselves to be much better than Ethereum. So let's see what happened. But everyone see that after all those years, Ethereum trying to scale, but it still can only proceed 20 transactions on chain every second. That's maximum. And most of those who claim to be better than Ethereum do not even exist anymore today. So the blockchain that can facilitate our vision for Web3 has to be a global blockchain, which is public, transparent, unbounded, highly functional, low cost, sustainable, and most importantly, must be auditable and regulation friendly. So no matter how beautiful those marketing slogans are, statistics talk, right? We have to go to the real statistics. So thanks to the transparency nature of the blockchain, we can easily see that BSV blockchain is the top one in the transaction processing ability. On our mainnet, the peak TPS, that's transaction per second, is 5,124. And the world record in block size is also on the BSV blockchain. The biggest block on BSV blockchain is 4 gigabytes. People see gigabytes. And hundreds of tools, applications, and even enterprise government projects are built on BSV blockchain right now. So we can make a conclusion that BSV blockchain is what Web3 really need. People don't need a blockchain that can only process 7 pieces of messages every second. That's BTC network. Nor like 20 pieces of messages per second. That's Ethereum. And Ethereum network structure ensures they can never be able to scale. So let alone all those attempts who want to overcome ETH and those private chains, enterprise chains launched by those banks, tech companies. What's the difference between this kind of fake chains and the Web 2.0, right? They are still controlled by those companies.
So Lisa, we obviously very passionate about the topic on blockchain, but we're going to move on to speak to some of the other guests, and we'll come back to you in just a few minutes. So Joanne, I'm going to jump over to you. We're going to talk a little bit about NFTs and Mintable here. You're a super successful entrepreneur, and you've had some incredible exits and fundraising too. So my question is, you're now the COO of Mintable, and NFT sales in 2021 were more than 17 billion. So tell us about non-fungible tokens, the potential uses and the advantages of a community-controlled NFT minting and trading platform.
Cool, sure. Yeah, maybe I'll start by attempting to define what NFTs are, and depending on the day that you ask me, I may give you a different definition. So today I could say that NFT technological format to prove authenticity, uniqueness, and traceability. To that, NFTs are are the manifestation of the core tenets of blockchain technology, being used on commercial products and various things. So the reason why my definition may change from day to day is really because NFT is really bigger than anything that can be just condensed into one sentence. It's just like the internet. If I were to ask you guys to define the internet, all of us would say different things, and all of it would be entirely true. And I think that's really what NFTs are right now. At the end of the day, NFTs are a subset of blockchain technology, and blockchain technology essentially, comprises of a few I would say a few really clear attributes, such as decentralization, complete transparency, being tamper-proof, and today because of NFTs being able to embody all of these traits, and is being used for many things. Some of it extremely financial, because with every piece of technology, financial instruments are always built on top of it first. So one could say that NFTs are used, it's really just a money game. But we are also increasingly seeing an entire camp of individuals who feel that NFTs are crossing the chasm and stepping into culture, into real art, into gaming and into the future of life, if I could even be so bold. So I think that's really what NFTs are. Potentials for NFT, I think NFT basically represents a better way of doing things, and what that thing is really centralized systems. For example, if today I gave you a Mona Lisa, Denise, nobody in this world would know that I gave it to you other than you or me. However, if I gave it to you as an NFT, the whole world can verify it. So that's the beauty of blockchain. You don't have to trust, you can verify. If I told you that the Mona Lisa was real, you may be like, okay, I really want to trust you, but I didn't study art history and I can't tell. And once again, blockchain technology, is able to overcome that, because you don't have to trust me. You just verify on the smart contract that what I'm sending to you is real, and you don't have to be an expert to be able to, read the smart contract. And it's not just limited to you or me. It's not a closed box. Everyone can see everything. And I think that basically gives us things like real time ability to verify, real time understanding of ownership, of provenance, and these are all the ways it is better. The same way crypto is a better way of money. So maybe at this point I'll kind of pause and because I feel like that would be my my quick take on NFTs.
Sure. So much. So I'm going to go over to you, Abbas. You have quite impressive curriculum here also, with your work that you've done around gaming, but also you've won awards for your work with some of your games. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But right now, tell us a little bit about the metaverse, play to earn. I'm particularly interested in things like how Axie Infinity has become a lifeline in some countries where unemployment or wages are very low. I think we're seeing a video game development and evolution within Web3. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So this is sort of linked towards the product that I'm building, because I'm a game developer at the end of the day. And I started working in MMORPGs as a contractor on a very famous MMORPG, which was developed for 2.5 years or so. And 6 months after its launch, the game was successful. They said, "Oh, we made all our money." They pulled out the money, and essentially all the game developers become unemployed. We'd find new jobs, and this is sort of like a rinse and repeat cycle, unless you had someone like Blizzard that just really had this long-term 20-year vision behind the game. It wasn't going to survive. Investors come in to pull the money out. Extensively, what occurs is that it becomes very hard for a game to create content to keep its audience stimulated, engaged over a long period of time. And this was sort of like a rinse and repeat of my career for a good 5-6 years, and then I was kicked screaming basically into mobile. And mobile suddenly had lots of different ways of monetizing. One of them was what we call location-based advertising, which itself is flawed. What occurred essentially is that you'd have these one-way directional systems, and you could make money off in-app purchases, or you could make money off advertisement. Now, the problem with advertisement is it's location-based. So if I see an ad for Nike and I'm based in Pakistan and I'm an Air Jordan collector, I've got my Air Jordan shoes, and somebody in the US sees an ad for the same Nike ad in that game, they would essentially get the reward for the US person seeing the ad for, say, $150 pair of shoes is higher rather than the person in Pakistan who's seen the ad. And that's essentially a location bias, because I have actually spent $450 getting the same shoe. And as a result, the system of alleged equality does not really show in my effort to become a part of this thing. Now, when you look at, this is number one. The first thing is location bias. So what blockchains and NFTs essentially do is that it puts everyone on a system of parity. Now, what I'm going to say here is that in a system of equality, which is a very flawed concept, if I'm a rich person and there's a poor person next to me and you give us the same rights, the rich person's going to win. But in a system of parity, which is what blockchain is all about, it doesn't care where you're from. It said that if you put in the same amount of effort to make something, you're equal. That's essentially what all of this is based on. Now I'm going to sort of get to economies and people building for Axie Infinity. I've got a couple of friends who are making a ton of money off Axie Infinity, raking it. And a lot of my friends who are basically doing user-generated content, they're purchasing these NFT spaces, they're making their spaces interesting on places like Decentraland, they're building on. All of this is very important. And this is sort of like a complete parity system. It means that 10 years ago, if I logged on a game with an iPhone, right? This is my iPhone, and somebody else had a cheaper $20 Q mobile, the game would perform less efficiently. Or that essentially the game wasn't designed for them. Nowadays you have blockchain-based rendering systems with a nice pixel stream running, and voila, everything works nicely. And when it comes to NFTs, well, NFTs are really just judged on a very simple concept. This is the ad system that I'm designing. If you have a billboard, you own a billboard space, it's called media buying, in an area that gets a lot of traffic, right? That billboard space, but allegedly as an NFT, would have more value than a place that gets less traffic. Now, here's something that I'm going to put out for you. The thing about blockchains are, because there is a system of rewardedness, when you cultivate your metaverse space and you make it more interesting over a period of time, there is a way of that. So you as an online community, when you're building and moderating and growing your community, have the ability to scale it over a period of time without losing interest, without feeling that there's a lack of sense of reward, by adding content, by making it more interesting. This is something that I've seen happen in Sandbox, Decentraland, and to a degree in Roblox, which I think Nike just built a very nice place called Nike Land, which I tried with my son the other day. All these things are what make blockchains very important. The other thing is that as a person based in Pakistan, or if I'm based in China, or I'm based in some other country, one of the hardest things is transacting on the internet. It is a pain in the ass. You know, if I sit there, I went on a vacation to Turkey and had to go jump hoops and whistles to open up my credit card just so I could, I don't know, buy an ice cream and a doner kebab. It was a pain. But with blockchain, I can simply send the money right over there. It doesn't care where I'm from. It just says, you got the money here. You're on a open system. Everyone can see this nice valid transaction, and that's it. There are no biases of pay gates. There is no location bias. These things are what's important for what Web 3.0 really is. And I, as a very frustrated developer for many years, who built games that would do great but die because of a very flawed Web 2.0 location bias system, it didn't let me breathe. So what I'm building is a system for metaverse developers where they can tap into an advertising stream. And the value of the advertising stream is based on the quality of their metaverse space. And they can bid it on an open exchange. They can make the transactions on it. And this is what's important. You can't just... The past Web 2.0 system was based on a system of influencers and hype. This is essentially very damaging. It damages the mental and moral fabric of societies globally. So yeah, I think I'm done with my talk. I'm kind of going on.
No, I mean, I think the main tone is that it's such a positive way of transitioning into a new wave of the internet.
Yeah.
But because you've all kind of had the same sort of opinions on blockchain and Web 3.0, I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to come back to Lisa on this. So what is missing for mass adoption? Because clearly, even though, you know, we see that the technology is unstoppable, clearly it's not something that works for everybody. So what, in your opinion, is missing from the transition with mass adoption and Web 3.0? You're on mute.
Sorry, back online now. So in my opinion, for massive adoption for each new technology, it takes time. But luckily for blockchain, we have already have 13 years. And we can see, even though we have more and more blockchains. But now we can also see a lot of companies, those traditional companies, even government agencies, financial institutions, they have started their maybe pilot projects or their own projects on blockchain right now. So I think for the past few years, maybe due to the price pump and dump, and maybe those new concepts like NFT, Metaverse, that a lot of ordinary people start to talk about it during parties, on dinners. Really, a lot of my friends, they are not even in the finance or tech industry. They started to talk. They started to reach out to me and ask about the NFTs. And some of my friends who's artists, they ask about the NFTs, digital assets. So as I can see, a lot of people, companies, they have already get attracted in this area. And as Abbas just said, if we want to create a virtual world, no matter we call it a metaverse or Web 3.0, we want people to have more activities on the internet. We need to give them a more powerful technology that we can allow people to have control their own data, and can let them to transact across boundaries, across countries' boundaries. So that's why we need a real powerful blockchain technology. Not only blockchain, we want a real, a feasible, a practical blockchain network that can support people's ambition in Web3, in Metaverse. So that's why I want to, I'm happy to join this panel to at least let our audience to know about BSV blockchain, let them know about there is existing a very powerful blockchain that can process thousands or in the future millions of transactions on chain, and that can help them to realize their Web3 dream.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Joanne, I'm going to come right back to you because I know you have to jump off a little bit earlier. So there is a question about Mintable, but I did want to come back to how NFT marketplaces work and how Mintable specifically works. And there is a question from the audience, and that is, how is Mintable different from OpenSea? So if you could just talk us through that, would be great.
Yeah, sure. So I think at the end of the day, without shilling, my own, product too much, because we are all here for, objective, sharing, and really just
okay. You can say.
Yeah. I would say that philosophically, when you look at it from a macro point of view, you zoom out all the way, we're pretty much the same. And all we're trying to do is to, operate as the intermediary to facilitate the transactions, peer-to-peer transactions of NFTs. And right now, because of how Web2 and 3 is not completely differentiated yet, products like us help to serve as some kind of a platform, because otherwise it will be a completely fragmented place. But on a feature level, there are differences indeed. So one example will be that if you want to mint and not pay gas fee on OpenSea, you'll have to use polygons, lazy minting, which OpenSea support. But if for some reason you don't want Polygon and you want to mint on Ethereum, then you have to use Mintable, because we have our proprietary technology, which is gasless minting on the Ethereum chain. Maybe you're not a creator, maybe you are just buying NFTs, and for some reason you're new to the space and you don't have Ethereum in your MetaMask wallet, you want to buy an NFT with a credit card, then you can't do that on OpenSea, and you have to do that on Mintable. So on a grand scale, we are, both of us are marketplaces serving a space that is just exploding, and 5 years later, 3 years later, we may end up looking very alike. Right now, these are the tiny differences on a feature user experience level.
So I get asked all the time about minting NFTs. how would a person go about doing, they have their digital art or whatever. How would a person go about doing that on Mintable, for example?
Yeah, so if you're trying to mint an NFT, you've created some art and you want to put it on the Mintable, go to Mintable, create an account, create mint an NFT, choose whether you want to do it guestless or without guests. And once you do that, the entire experience is like uploading an e-commerce product. So you upload the picture, or the file or the assets, put down the name of the item, put down the category. If you want to, there's a checkbox for you to decide if you want to pass on the commercial rights and the license to the buyer. You do all of that. Just click a button, and we actually our smart contract is the one that fires the transaction and executes the mint for you.
Oh,
so it's really, really easy. Give it a try.
Amazing. I will. And I will share it too, because I get asked all the time. I work very closely with Eddie, Travia and Gurang, who will do the workshop later, and encourage everybody to stay on for that because it's really insightful. The other thing is we have a couple more questions, so I'm going to stay with you for the moment. What is the best approach to launch the collection? I'm assuming a collection of NFTs on OpenSea using Polygon manually, ERC1155, or smart contract code ERC721.
Yeah, so maybe the best, there is no best approach. It is what is the best for you. So in order to decide if you want to do a ERC721 or ERC1155, you have to ask yourself, what is the nature of your collection? For example, Bored Ape Yacht Club, follows the ERC721 standard because they all look, each NFT in the collection is an NFT. However, it's a non-fungible token. They look extremely different. However, Adidas, they recently did a drop. They use ERC1155 because 1155 is an extension of 721. It's a newer standard, and it allows you to both ERC20s and ERC721s within one contract. So understanding the technical requirements of where your product is going to eventually take you will point you to the standard that it needs. Now, whether or not you use Polygon, whether or not you do it yourself, that really depends on the complexity. If all you're trying to do is sell a piece of art, obviously using OpenSea saves you a ton of gas fee. If you're writing the smart contract yourself on Ethereum using Solidity, on Moralis, the master contract to execute, you have to put aside at least one ETH. You have to do quite a bit of editing of the code. You have to think about things like MasterChef, burn, total supply. All of these needs some a native development. So it really depends on your skill level and where you're trying to get at.
So one last question for you. Is it necessary to create hype to sell your NFTs at a high price?
I think this question is almost a philosophical question, right? Like, is it necessary to create hype for Louis Vuitton and Rolexes to be worth the prices that they are today? So I think this is less science and more human psychology and art. In a sense that for the longest time, human beings, offline or online, whether or not it is buying an NFT or buying a watch, we attribute more value when there are things like the concept of scarcity, concept of quality, and concept of uniqueness, right? So you buy Rolex because you trust that Rolex doesn't manufacture more than they claim. You buy Louis Vuitton because they claim to have the best craftsmanship from Italy. So I think the same applies to selling something online. It's actually human psychology and marketing principles.
Great. I think that really explains it very well, because it's about your product and how you curate that product that brings the value. So thank you. If you do need to jump off, then thank you so much, but I'll try and come back to you. So I'm coming because I was super impressed about your work in countering violent extremism. You've won a prize recently for holograms. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, okay, that's interesting. We basically, Pakistan for the longest of time was susceptible to extremism, basically. So throughout the country, we've been running multiple campaigns to basically do what's known as CVE, or countering violent extremism. Now, Pakistan is a very multi-ethnic society. I mean, if you took all of the US and you cramped it in the size of Texas, you'd essentially get Pakistan. That means that all these very multi-ethnic societies are very close to each other. So the difference of opinion starts very quickly. So based on that, we had that problem in the 2000s where Pakistan's economy was pretty much flatlined. And actually, the Chinese basically saved us, our country, and helped us come back online. But that's another story. The thing that when we look at all of this is we had to come up with a founder or a figure that everyone united against, and that was the founder of our country. He died in 47 or 48, literally just a few months or just after the country went out. But he's a figure that everyone rallies around, and a lot of his imagery has been kind of hijacked. We want to sort of get to the true essence of it. So what we did was that we built a hologram based on him. We brought him literally back to life. And we worked with an organization called Hive/APE, Better One Together. And they were the implementation partner who contracted us to build the hologram. So we went into a lot of documented research, studied his diet, tried to understand how much he all of his things, how his work ethic, we could sort of stretch out, sort of see how he worked, behaved, understood mannerisms, studied archival footage. So then we rebuilt him in 3D, and then we built a rig with Ake and Hive that was a rig to basically project the character as a hologram. And then we had to translate the speeches into Urdu, which is our common language, but he didn't speak it. He spoke mostly English. At the time, it was a very common thing because we were at the time a part of the British Empire. So what happened was that there was about multiple afflicted areas by countering violent extremism, but they took that there. It was a large event. There'd be music, and then people would hear for 7 to 15 minutes about his message of peace and unity coming together. And I'd like to think that that product is the most important thing I've ever made in my life because it helped change minds. And when we made it, we were just a company of 3 people. I just had come up with Avenger. It had won a Peabody Award and a few Emmy nominations, lots of stuff. It was a really great experience. But I wanted to build things, content and technology that brought about change. So I was, of course, I was getting offers, we heard you're a free agent, want to join our company, and I wasn't interested. But then I started my own startup, and I was going to literally eat noodles if I had to, just ramen noodles, or cardboard, because I wanted to feel like there was something I was doing with meaning. So we built it in Unreal Engine, basically, which is one of the best engines ever. And we used a bunch of other technologies, animated him, outputted him, built him for the holographic projection systems, taken around the country, and we reintroduced the message of the founder of our country, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, to a generation who had no connection with him for 70 years, and reintroduced the concept of our country, the concept of peace, the concept of living together. That's where I feel like we really succeeded. And late last year, I didn't even know it. We just won a Mandela Award for it. And my heart was like, oh, that's so cool, because Nelson Mandela is one of my heroes. And when you look at all the other awards, it means this was important. So that's what it was all about.
It is very cool. And it's a great message that we can use technology for greater good nowadays. It also brings me around to my last question. And I'm going to stay with you because I think it leads on to a lot of the talk around, gas fees and electricity usage for mining. So how do you feel sustainability, inclusion, and opportunity sit within Web3?
Okay, so we worked in energy transformation projects in Europe. That's where we started understanding blockchain. And they're using blockchain for getting communities to basically share basically multiple communities coming together and sharing energy. And there was a gamified system on top, which we worked on top of it, that allowed communities to see progress and share the rewards and trophies and things like that. If you implement your energy grid properly, not in the old-fashioned way, which is a really old concept, but if you design it in a new way, which is based on renewable energy, and if you implement enough of it, the costs of blockchain is negligible. You're going to do more damage playing Crisis on full settings before you do that. So I don't believe that. It's just that it's a matter of scale and re-envisioning the way energy transformation is done. I worked on solar power projects before that as well. And once they're rolling, once you build your solar parks, once you start make renewable energy or just an energy system where a household has control over it and they're able to contribute back to the grid, the overall consumption of mining is literally very minuscule in return. You just have to invest in scaling. So it's a matter of time. We will switch to the system. A lot of countries are doing that. They're doing a great job in Northern Europe, where they're all switching to renewable energy. And these are places that barely get sun, comparing to a place like Pakistan, which is full of sun. I mean, we're basically getting burnt by the sun 8 months a year. So if you base it on old school energy grid systems, yeah, blockchain is determined. If you focus on the future and how energy transforming, that energy conservation and management is done at the individual and at the sorts of communities, overall, I think that the numbers work in our favor.
Okay, so over to you, Lisa. We have a ton of questions in the Q&A box. So I'm going to start with a few questions that have come from very active with our questions. Who is the authoritative enforcer of authenticity in the blockchain world?
Sorry, I don't quite get to this question.
I think he's about how you get to the authenticity of the blockchain. Yeah.
If he was asking who determines the authenticity of the blockchain, actually the protocol of the blockchain determine this. Everyone in this network, they follow the rule. And everyone who wants to change the rule, who wants to change the consensus, it's like a hard fork for this network. I'm not sure, James, I'm not sure whether I got your question correctly. If not, you can explain it again in the Q&A part, and I can answer it later. I'm sorry, Denise.
That's okay. That's fine. So he's also asked how a DAO would operate in real life and what would that look like?
I'm not sure. It's, I think DAO, this term came after blockchain, because people love to use decentralized to describe blockchain, and people see ordinary people, individuals can do or can try to do something that in the past only those big institutions can do. Now small group of teams or ordinary people can try to do something, can maybe form an organization team from globally and can do something. I think without the term DAO or without anything, even during COVID, people have already started to collaborate, to work, build all across the world, maybe in different spaces, and they people work for the same target. So I don't think we should define what DAO, how DAO works. Just find some friends, find some people who have the same purpose, who share the same goal with you, and you could do it together, and you share the profit. You have the value your team creates. That's all.
Thank you,
also,
Lisa.
because people still have to trust each other, right? If your counterparties are strangers or from different countries, so that's how you can use like blockchain technologies to ensure you have the trust, that the trust is being coded on the network and it can be automatically achieved by the network protocol.
Yeah. I think to me, a DAO is basically the same as any company structure, except it just uses technology to cut out everything you would need, like bank accounts, accountants, and all the other middlemen that you would usually need in a traditional structure to be able to run a company with all the same rights and the same functions. So I'm going to go.
I would actually agree with that, if you don't
Yeah.
mind me speaking.
Yeah, of course. Go
I've
ahead.
been running companies for years and working internationally and stuff like that. I think it's just routing a basic transaction all around and going through so many hoops, like it literally feel like a circus animal half of the time, and weird regulations pop up, and you have to always sort of manage. And I feel that as a person running a business, my energy and effort could be spent on other things than this. This is why we need systems like this, because we need to be feeling less stressed out about the work that we're performing. This should be literally like an automated thing at the back end. It happens instantaneously, and you move on with your life. You focus on other big picture things. The amount of just what you're saying, tape and all of that you have to cut through, and the phone calls you have to make, and it's just simply not worth it. It's biased. It doesn't really it's designed in a way, the existing system is designed in a way where people from developing countries are forced to put in extra effort. We are cut out, and to the point where I'm just like, maybe I should just move to the West or the EU or something like that, where I don't have to deal with this, but I don't really want to.
Sure.
And that's what it's all about. This is what it has to be about. I have to be able to have the same rights and abilities to conduct business as somebody in Europe or the US, and our location should not matter. The quality of work performed is all that counts.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. I mean, even sitting here in the Western world with the community that we have at Startup Grind, transactions can sometimes be so difficult to the US. A lot of my clients or people who are members of my community find stumbling blocks all the time. So I think this is about providing solutions and automation. So I'm going to stay with you, Abbas, because there's an interesting question here I really wanted to ask you. Could you provide some doors for startups to get into metaverse development?
Oh, okay. I suggest you have to choose what you want to do, but I suggest looking at Decentraland right now. That's one way of just sort of looking at it and seeing how online communities work. The other thing is you can learn something called Unity or Unreal Engine. They're perfectly fine little engine, but you can at least learn the basics of world setup. I prefer using Unreal Engine nowadays because it's just far more powerful and far easier to use. If you want to just be able to work at the browser level, learn Minecraft. You can do a lot in Minecraft. You can build content and sell it on the marketplace. Minecraft is a metaverse, and then you can work with Roblox development, which is basically literally the foundation of Web 3.0 right now. That's another thing you can do is work with Roblox, where the it's not that hard to enter them. And then if you want to work forward, Decentraland, there's Sandbox, and there's a couple of other places you can play with. But this is the way to go.
Awesome.
Hey, Denise, you're muted. We couldn't hear you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
sure. So Lisa, I wanted to come over to you and ask you about Bitcoin and crypto mining, and if you could explain a little bit about how that could help state taxes low and improve social services and even pay their citizens a yearly dividend.
Okay. To be honest, I used to work for a very big mining company when I first joined in this industry. So we just discussed about those environment issue that people discuss about Bitcoin mining, something like that. I actually have a different opinion on this. I don't think Bitcoin mining is waste energy, as Abbas just said, that we have a lot of clean energy. And if Bitcoin network, if something that can create value more than the consumption of the energy we need, we have to use, then it's valuable. That it's just a simple equation that the gain minus the cost. If it's positive, it's valuable. So that's why we can see for those developed countries like the US, Canada, and those Northern European countries, they all put Bitcoin mining in the legal area. And also if companies, they purchase the hardwares legally and they run their business in legal IDCs and they pay their taxes, right? And it's better if they use clean energy. But if you use like traditional power, you just pay more tax for that. It's totally okay. And I just saw the news that like Russia and even in China, some local governments, they have already announced that if you want to run mining in China, you just pay for premium, like 50% higher than the traditional factories. You just pay more for doing mining business. That's totally fine. So I don't think. I think the environment issue is just some organizations, they accuse Bitcoin for, they use this as a cover to accuse Bitcoin. But actually, if the blockchain technology, the Bitcoin, they can produce more value than it actually cost, that people should support it. Just like nowadays, we actually use lots more power than a century ago, but no one wants to go back to the life in the 19th century, right? Because we have already seen the advantages we have by using more power and get better life. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in using better power in any case, because generally speaking, everybody is concerned about, global warming and the environment. So I think as a general rule, not just with mining, it's about finding better ways to use energy and to use cleaner energy. So Abbas, I'm going to come to you again because we have some questions about the metaverse, and I feel like this is something that you can really answer. So what are your thoughts on investing in the metaverse? And we have a second question about mass adoption of metaverse in Pakistan and other Asian countries. Like, when do you feel this would be possible?
Sure. Number one, investing in the metaverse. Yes, you should be investing in the metaverse because right now it's like the pioneers basically running out towards America and trying to, in the early 1800s, and trying to basically doing a land grab. And the metaverse is essentially one big virtual space in which you're going to go out there and you grab the land, and people who grab the land, build it, farm it, are going to be the real winners in the long run. That is basically, if you look at this group of people that went and grabbed the land and they farmed it and they built large farms, are actually now the foundation of America's leading wealth 150 years later, or 200 years later. So what I want you guys to think is that this is the time for you to go out there, grab this virtual space while it's cheap, start developing it, and eventually tools will come in to make it better, make it more entertaining, have people visit your space, constantly cultivate an audience, moderate it, make it interesting, make it engaging, because the rewards in the long run are quite high. The second thing I'm going to say for Pakistan is Pakistan's already kind of connected to the metaverse in one form or another, or what I call metaversal, not quite metaverse. PUBG is just an example of a game that brings people together and they play it together and all over the world, and it allows people to connect. And the thing about Pakistan's actually what you call a digitally literate country. if you follow official statistics, Pakistan is 60% illiterate, or 40% of the population knows how to read and write. And that's such a flawed statistic. My servant who's or my household helper, he's gone to school up till 6th grade and officially is listed as can't read, can't write, but he bought a smartphone in 2014, around the time my son was born. And he knew how to WhatsApp, he knew how to send text messages, he knew how to send audio messages, he knew how to surf the net, he knew how to set up an email account, and then he liked it so much, he sent it to his wife back home, they used it to communicate. And on paper, they are considered to be digitally illiterate. Pakistan is already in a form one way or another in this area. It's just a matter of bandwidth costs coming a bit down. And not just that, emerging countries, developing countries want to feel connected. They want to feel like they're a part of the greater world. They want to feel like they're engaging with people regardless of their location. And this is where Metaverse comes into play. And me, as a Pakistani of some privilege, I might add, have been able to do that for a very long time. And now people have been doing it for the past 6-7 years because of more accessible smartphones that come from China. And now we're building our own. So yeah, Pakistan's pretty big on the Metaverse. It's been there for a while. Oh, and another thing, every kid I meet, regardless of, I think, lower economic strata up to higher ones, they just play Minecraft all the time or Roblox on a cell phone. And if that's not an example of metaversal connectivity, then what is? And of course, everyone seems to be watching a lot of anime nowadays as well. And they participate in it and they share it to make their own fan dubs. I found Hindi fan dubs, which are technically illegal, of Naruto in a slum area in Islamabad. I watched all the kids watching it. These are all metaversal activities. Trust me, we're already there. We just need somebody to invest in us and give us more accessibility. That's it. And trust me, with the 200 and something million people we have, it's going to monetize very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. So just to close, we have a couple of minutes. Lisa, any parting advice for startups and developers who are looking at using blockchain for their projects?
Well, I actually encourage people to find opportunities in Web3 and also blockchain to build something and create value. So creating value is not only raising money from people. If anyone approached to you to introduce Web 3.0 and with an investment proposal, make sure you truly understand what Web 3.0 need. Not only a new video game or a new social media platform, but a new way that users can control their own data with a set of feasible technologies. So that's
Thank
all.
you. So Abbas, what about you? Any parting advice for startups and people looking to run a project on Web3?
Don't view the metaverse as something technology-driven. It is not neon lights. It's not VR. It is a generally accessible social community that brings people together. That's what the metaverse is. It allows us to interact. It allows us to, one second. It allows us to interact. It allows us to come together. It allows us to perform an activity and share an experience. And the outcome can be positive. It can be neutral or negative, but there's always an outcome. And the other thing is that it's a do-based learning system. So when you're in the metaverse, participating in these activities, you're essentially learning, and your brain is learning, and you're performing an activity, and you're feeling connected with 2 or more people, and you're coming together and doing something. That's how you have to view the metaverse. And it has to be one more thing, real time. So it's just not a social network. It's not Reddit. It's not Facebook. So this is really important. I can give, and the metaverse can have positive and negative effects. There's something, this is not quite metaverse, but I can give you an idea of what an online community can create. If you look at something called Gamergate on Twitter, it created 2 offshoots, 2 branches basically. Gamergate created what's known as the MAGA movement, which elected Donald Trump to move power, and good or bad, you can choose which side you want to support. But the other thing is that a lot of women were harassed, and this led to catalyzing the Me Too movement, which was actually one of the greatest things to ever happen. So It basically, it can be good or bad. It can be, online communities have this ability to do it, but now we've got a much more diverse, larger platform for us to interact with and come together. This is what we have to view the metaverse as.
Cool. So we're going to wrap up. We have our next guest speaker who is joining for the fireside chat now. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been so insightful talking to all of you. If we can have Curtis back on. Yep, here he is.
I'm here.
Cool. So just saying goodbye from Gibraltar. I'm Denise, and it was great to be here. Thank you for having me, and enjoy the rest of today.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you very much for having me. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Denise. We're going to bring in Brian Liu right now. I'm going to turn it on, so he should be able to turn his camera on. Brian, are you there?
What's up?
And there he
How's
is.
it going?
So we have Brian Liu, founding partner of Infinity Ventures Crypto in Taipei, Taiwan, just down the street from me. I was in the office and saw him earlier today. But thank you for joining us, Brian. Hope all is well in crypto land, given all the news going on. I want to start the discussion with you. You guys just closed your first fund. It was a $70 million fund. You just announced that a couple of days ago, actually. Can you walk us a little bit through about what IVC's kind of investment philosophy is, and also what that process was like going out there and raising money for a crypto fund?
Yeah, sure. We actually had this idea during the first mini crash during May, June of 2021. That was also during the lockdown that Taiwan had. So I was sitting around playing with my kids at home, playing a lot of video games because we were all on lockdown. And we started thinking, what else can we do? We just finished closing our $110 million traditional VC fund Headline. And we deployed most of the Southeast Asia allocation, which is what I'm in charge of for Headline. And I was kind of just hanging out, and my buddy who called me up and said, hey, you remember that company you invested in about a year ago called M2 Capital, that crypto asset management firm? We cashed out. And I'm like, what? You cashed out? I'm like, what do you mean cashed out? He's like, yeah, somebody bought us out. We got acquired. I'm like, wow, that was fast. And in literally 1 year, you got acquired. And that was really when I got exposed to crypto and started really looking into it. Because when he told me what he was doing to the exit time, it was really literally about a year and 3 months. So I got excited. I started looking into crypto, and I realized that there was just a whole nother world out there with token investing. And then with my passion in video games, I saw that Web3 gaming was and play to earn is something that was really picking up during that time. So I convinced that portfolio company's founder to come join us at Headline to create Infinity Venture Crypto. During that time, it was kind of difficult to raise because it was in that mini bear market. But so when we decided to start raising, we said, hey guys, why don't we just put our own money in first and try it out? So because my partners and I, we've done VC for the last 15 years. We said, yeah, why not? Let's just see if this is even a market that we want to get into. So let's test it out with our own money. So about, there's 6 partners. There's 6 partners in IVC. And then with some family and friends, we kind of put together about a $10 million fund. It wasn't structured like a fund. It was just structured like a kind of like a friends and family angel fund just to try it out. And we started investing. Our first deal was actually YGG, Yield Guild Games. And if you guys don't know what Yield Guild Games is, it's the first and largest guild for play to earn scholarships in the world right now. And When we invested in them, it was pretty much the right before the IDO. We got in and got a small check size, and when it IDO'd, our small investment ended up returning the whole fund that we had set up, which was about 10 million. So we're like, wow, that's really interesting. This is actually something I'm like, you know, from traditional VC, that would never happen. You would never invest and all of a sudden, literally in like 24 hours, 48 hours, you pretty much returned your fund. But yes, there's a lockup on these investments, but still, we've never seen anything like it. And we were very, very inspired and wanted to look into it more. So then we started looking more into this industry, investing a little bit here and there. And then all of a sudden, people around the world and other institutions started hearing about us. And then that's when people started asking if we were raising money or if we were taking money. From that day on, we were able to end up getting about 110 million in commits, but we capped it at 70 because we want to be small and agile. And we wanted to make sure that we were going to raise a fund too. So a lot of the extra money that we had been committed to us, we moved them to fund 2. And right now we closed at about 70 million for fund 1.
That's great. And like you mentioned, you don't really see returns like that quickly in traditional venture capital and deals and investing in startups. One of the things that you and I talked about the other day was kind of the difference in investment philosophy that a company or a VC firm like Headline might have as a traditional VC in crypto investing. For the audience, maybe just kind of give a layman's terms explanation of, you know, what is kind of the difference for a crypto VC fund and just kind of a normal VC fund.
Yeah, you know, that's actually, there's a huge difference because you're investing in equity deals. The most common one is it usually takes a month or 2 months to close. You have those month or 2 months to do proper DD. You're digging into the numbers. You're digging into the background of the founders. You're really looking at that market. It gives you ample time to make a decision. But in crypto investing, you're pretty much, once you meet them, the team's like, all right, so how much do you want? And if you don't soft circle something, it's gone. If you don't fill out the KYC documents, fill out the SAFT or the SAFE with token warrant and send your money within 48 hours, 72 hours of meeting them, your allocation gets cut down. You don't have enough time to do that much DD. So a lot of times you're really counting on your peers. You're really counting on basically the team that you meet, and just everything moves so much faster in the crypto world.
Yeah, and that is a pretty good, I think, kind of illustration of just how volatile things can be in crypto. I mean, you look at what the price of Bitcoin has done historically over the last 6 months to a year, the swings that it can have. I think latest check today, it was down 6% just on the news of what's coming out of Eastern Europe and Ukraine. Do you think that makes potential investors, you know, so you can have great returns very, very quickly, but, you know, the other side of the coin, no pun intended, is that things can actually go the other way too. They rise fast, they can fall fast. Do you find talking to potential investors in your fund that makes them a little bit skeptical or weary about investing in crypto, or are they kind of fully aware of, you know, we understand what the risks could be and what the upsides and the downsides are?
Yeah, you know, if we were talking to people a year and a half ago, everyone would be extremely wary of crypto. It wasn't talked about much in the, you know, national media. It wasn't a topic that people talked about much. But since the last 6 months, it seems like everywhere you turn, someone's talking about an NFT that they just bought, or the first NFT that they bought, or they're talking about their first Bitcoin that they bought, or the first Ethereum. It's getting mainstream. Now, with it getting a mainstream, that really happened starting maybe March, April of 2021, people really did experience and see and keep track of the dump that happened in May. And then from May, June, July, then they saw the rise of crypto again. From once it hit 30, people started getting skeptical, saying that it's going to go to 20. Then all of a sudden, it did a U-turn and boom, it went up to almost 70,000. So people saw that and people realized that, you know what, with crypto, yes, it's extremely volatile. But then at the same time, during this mini dump from May all the way till now, look at all the equities and Chinese equities, Chinese companies. I think they dropped even more than crypto has. At least crypto recovered a little bit and then dropped again, but Chinese equities didn't even recover. Or even regular tech equities are taking a beating.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting, and just how the way the world is moving. You have certain governments that are looking at stable coins and, you know, trying to figure out what to do. I mean, even the U.S. Fed has made some commentary on this. The Treasury Secretary has. You know, I want to turn the focus to the actual investments that you are doing in, you know, DAOs, various NFT companies. You guys are deploying that capital that you have raised. And a lot of that focus of that fund is on Web3 projects in Southeast Asia. Can you just tell us, geographically speaking, what are some of the areas and markets that are really exciting to you in terms of Web3 companies that are in the metaverse and doing very interesting things that are out there raising money right now?
Yeah, you know, so our fund right now, we have deployed probably about 60% of our raised amount. We've deployed it across about 80 companies. And most of those companies, the makeups are pretty evenly spread out. We have about 30% GameFi, 30% Web3 or Web3 / Metaverse, and then we have about 30% DeFi/FinTech. The breakdown of that into each region, because we're based in Asia, we're a lot more Asia focused. So about 55% of our investments are in Asia. 35% of those are in the Americas, and the other 10% is Europe, Africa, and what we call global companies that have offices all over the world. Now, Southeast Asia does make up a big part of it, because Southeast Asia right now is what we call the capital of play to earn. And with the capital of play to earn, a lot of these companies or these entrepreneurs based in Southeast Asia are seeing the pain point that a lot of this is creating. So because of the pain points that are created from this massive play to earn movement that happened, you're getting a lot of companies that are popping up that are trying to solve that pain point. One of them would be XLD. If you guys understand how play to earn works, when a scholar makes their in-game tokens, it's usually, for example, why don't we use Axie? If it was Axie, they would make it in their Ronin wallet, and then from the Ronin wallet, they would then need to transfer it from SLP probably into a MetaMask account. And then we're talking about before Ronin even allowed USDC. So then it would go from SLP to SLP in your MetaMask, which would be on an ERC20 chain, Ethereum chain. And the Ethereum chain and transfer it into an OTC desk or your Binance wallet, which, because it's on ERC20, it probably would cost you anywhere between $15 to $30 just to transfer that SLP. That was probably worth maybe only $500. So the gas fee was so high that it really ate into the earnings. So what XLD does is XLD has a that allows you to deposit your SLP, and then with those earnings, they have about 1,000 merchants across Southeast Asia where they can spend it. So you want to buy groceries, straight SLP, straight into the groceries. You want to pay your utility bill, you want to pay your school tuition, you can use your SLP. I mean, nobody really thought about that. And, you know, because of the pain point that these scholars were facing, XLD was created. Another one would be blockchain space. So everybody knows that YGG started in the Philippines. And right now, YGG has about 15,000 scholars. Think about, how do you keep track of 15,000 scholars? You know, right now, most people do it through Excel or Google Sheets. One wrong move, boom, everything is gone. So what blockchain space does is it created a guild management software where you can track all your guilds in one dashboard, where it's easy for you to see, easy for you to track. I mean, 15,000 people is not easy to do it, let alone trying to figure out if they're playing the game, actually, if they are even, how much the MMR they're making, if they have done any withdrawals, or when it's time for them to do withdrawals. I mean, all that stuff is on the dashboard that blockchain space built.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's a lot of people here that are listening to this finding it pretty fascinating, because this whole world that's been opened up with the metaverse, whether it's the gaming side of things, the integration of, you know, coins into gaming and crypto in and of itself, and the blockchain, it's all quite interesting. You mentioned the Philippines, where YGG was from. Is there other markets in Southeast Asia that are exciting or doing exciting things in this space? You know, Singapore, for instance, has been a traditional finance hub, but, you know, in terms of crypto, is it some place that could potentially be taking off, or are there other countries around the region where that's more appropriate, do you think?
Well, it really depends on, you know, for Singapore, because it's such a financial powerhouse over there, and it's always been trying to compete with Hong Kong for that. And right now, because of, you know, the Hong Kong and China's relationship and China's stance on crypto, many of these crypto companies that are based in Hong Kong or were based in Hong Kong is leaving for Singapore. So Singapore is kind of becoming the financial hub of crypto. A lot of the funds are being based there. A lot of headquarters are based there, but operations is based somewhere else. Because Singapore's laws against crypto is slowly becoming, I guess you could say, they're more and more mature. People are actually feeling safe going over there. Now, from what our boots on the ground is telling us, and from speaking to a lot of experts, Vietnam is someplace that is growing like crazy. Now, Axie Infinity is born out of Vietnam, but at the same time, by the sheer number of volume of trades that's happening on spot and on derivatives, Vietnam is much more than any other country in Southeast Asia, according to our boots on the ground there. But Philippines is the sheer number of accounts is more than any other country in Southeast Asia. So when you think about it, Southeast Asia is what, about 655 million people. The medium age is about 30 years old, and you have your minimum wage is about $200 and $250, I think, throughout the Southeast Asia region. So it really is the play to earn capital of the world, and it really is where a lot of the crypto adoption, because of play to earn, is happening.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and you know, we kind of 5 or 6 years ago, I remember talking to someone about the unbanked populations in Southeast Asia. These are people that didn't have traditional finance bank accounts, and so they were going for crypto accounts. You know, they had a mobile phone, you could do a lot of things, and that perhaps has kind of fed into what we're seeing in the Philippines or Vietnam, in these markets where you have play to earn sort of things. I just want to let the audience know, the Q&A tab is open. If you have a question for Brian, you can just dump it in there. I see some, and we'll get around to those very shortly. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about, Brian, was around NFTs. So we talked about play to earn and kind of the games and the gaming side of the metaverse. What's your opinion on NFTs and the ability not only for people to invest in NFTs and the ease of that? We had Jiawen from Mintable on earlier, but also people being able to create NFTs and trying to generate revenue off of those for themselves.
Yeah, NFTs is an interesting space. You started off with PFPs, which is just profile pictures, and they're just pictures that people were spending thousands and eventually hundreds of millions of dollars on, and all it is a picture. I mean, Ether Rock, there's only 100 in the whole world, but is an Ether Rock really worth $2 million? Is a picture of a monkey really worth $300, $400, $300, $400,000? Now those are questions that nobody can really answer right now. But the one thing that we look at as I'm also the co-founder of YGGSCA, and when we look at that stuff, and we started investing in play to earn games, and the NFTs actually have utility. That is something I understand now. You buy something. So for example, I'll give you guys an example. I haven't said this much out in public yet, and I don't know if many people know or heard of this game.
This is being recorded, so.
yeah, I know. It's nothing secret, but Game of War. I don't know if anybody knows about Game of War, but we're talking about a game that was extremely popular by Machine Zone probably about 6-7 years ago. And I ended up becoming emperor of Game of War. Now, that game was the highest earning ARPU game on Google Play and Apple Store. I think even to this day, it still might be the highest ARPU game. Now, I spent so much money in that game that I had more gems and more unused crafting pieces than most people would have. But if I was able to sell those crafting pieces, sell those gems, sell whatever I did not need, resources I didn't need, back to the team members or the alliance members that I had, I would have made a fortune, or made back at least some of the money that I spent. But that's because of the terms of service for all these game developers. It was it breached their terms of service. Just like when a World of Warcraft, if you farm gold and you sold gold to other people, it was a breach of their terms. Now, fast forward till 2021, now 2022, that's available. In play to earn games, if I spend a lot of money and have the armors, have the gems, if I don't need to use it anymore, I can lend it out. There's NFT lending protocols now. Or I can just sell it to you if I don't need it anymore. Maybe I already passed a level where I don't need this gun or sword or armor, or I got a better armor. I can sell my unused armor and make money from it. So that option, putting into the hands of the user, makes you feel like you're in much more control of the game. And I think that is the direction that gaming is eventually going to go towards.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point. You have all these kind of digital assets that are in these games, or you have an NFT and it's, it's sitting there on the blockchain, or it's in a wallet. I was at dinner the other night and talked to someone who, I think I'm probably simplifying this, but for illustrative purposes, I think they put $12 into an NFT and it's worth $3,400 right now, almost a 300x return. I guess one of the questions that some people that are novice to this and new to it might have is, you have these digital assets, there's a value pegged to them, how to actually cash in on them, turn them into fiat currency for whatever country that they live in. Is that becoming easier, or is that still something that's pretty hard for people to go about doing?
Well, you know what? Let's speak about it on a country-to-country level. In the U.S., if you do that you're going to get taxed on capital gains for
Right.
it. In other parts of the world, Southeast Asia, the hardest part would be the off-ramp into fiat. Now, Philippines, it's easy. There's a lot of exchanges, a lot of OTCs that will do it for you. In Indonesia, you have Toku Crypto that can help you with that. In Vietnam, it's pretty much peer-to-peer because that's what they're doing. If you try to cash it out on OTC or cash it out on an exchange is illegal. And every country has their and regulations on cashing out. But if you're talking about taking an NFT, flipping it, now that's something that anybody can do. Now, a lot of times, probably the easiest thing to do is to get yourself onto, and for information, this is not financial advice, and please do your own research.
Yes. None of what we're saying here today is financial advice. Do your own research, talk to a licensed financial advisor if you want to do anything.
Exactly. So all these disclaimers out there. Now,
on the disclaimers
what I would do is I would go ahead and try to get on whitelists of certain NFT drops. Once that whitelist comes out, get your name on it, mint it, because you're basically minting the NFTs. I mean, there's no one else before you that owns it. And then you either sell it before they even reveal the NFT because there's so much hype around it, or if you really truly believe in it, then you sell it after the reveal, hoping that you don't get a legendary or you don't get a rare one. Because usually in these collectibles, there's common, there's rare, and there's legendary. Or, they might have mutants, or, they might have other types of rarities that are more than others. So one of my colleagues goes by the nickname Voss. Also, he's the #1 community manager in India for YGG. He minted one Karafuru. He got on a whitelist, and he got a legendary. That Karafuru right now, which he bought for like 0.25 ETH, is probably worth 50 ETH right now.
Not bad.
Not bad, yeah. And that's what a lot of these people do. They buy the whitelist, or they get onto the whitelist, mint it, and they flip it right away. That way, it's very hard to lose, especially if you're talking about really high-profile projects.
Yeah, it's very interesting space to be in, and I think a lot of people are looking at NFTs. They see stories. We had an Instagram influencer who made quite a bit of money doing NFTs, putting some NFTs out there. There was the story of the guy in Indonesia who I think made about $1 million just doing selfies of his blank facial expression and was able to make an NFT out of that. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I think a lot of people have questions on how to get into it. Very similar to, crypto, 6-7 years ago, how to go about buying it. A lot of people didn't really know how to do it. And now it's super mainstream. You can buy crypto on PayPal and a bunch of other platforms. One thing I want to go to is to the Q&A. There's some questions in there. And if anybody has questions for Brian, I see his screen is frozen. So Brian, maybe you might just want to hit the stop video button there at the bottom and then try to relaunch it again, because it looks like it might have crashed, and then open it back up.
How about now? Is that better?
No, it's still, I don't know for everyone else, but from my side, it's still a little choppy and frozen, but we can hear you, which is what matters. Okay, so somebody said it is working, so maybe it's just something on my side. So I'm going to go to questions.
So I'll go ahead and answer these questions really quickly. Awas, can I click pictures of my collectible Pokemon tangible cards to upload on OpenSea to get paid high? Well, Awas, you can do whatever you want and post it onto OpenSea. It's because OpenSea is permissionless. You can put it on there, and if you have people that want to buy it, you can make money. I don't know how high, but you can definitely make money. I think he just changed his question. Is it necessary to create hype to sell your NFTs at a high price? It is definitely necessary to create hype. If you don't create hype, who's going to buy your stuff? No one will know about it.
Just like normal art, right?
Yeah. How crypto fights censorship and restore personal sovereignty by cutting out all the middlemen, gatekeepers, and bureaucrats that have controlled us for hundreds of years. I don't know that question.
I think that's let me read that. I think that's kind of going against governments and traditional fiat, is how crypto fights censorship and restores personal sovereignty. So it's kind of it's the democratization angle, I think, is what Nadim is getting at.
Well, you know, right now, as you can tell, there's a lot of countries out there that are turning Bitcoin into legal tender. The latest one that you guys are hearing about right now is Russia. Now, I don't know if I want to get into that on this discussion, but yeah, I mean, then you also heard Justin Trudeau of Canada, Prime Minister, speaking very highly about crypto, and then the first country ever to do it, El Salvador. They did it because, yeah, they did it because their currency was getting devalued. I mean, people were burning the country's cash reserve, or the cash that they had, because it was worth nothing. So does that answer your question, Nadim? And then your next question, Nadim, how the blockchain can help alleviate poverty by opening banking systems to billions of people globally, and what this will do to the price of currency. So, you know, what really got a lot of funds to start looking at us is when Consensus put out an article about the daily active users on MetaMask. MetaMask is the #1 decentralized wallet in the world, and it's made by Consensus, or incubated by Consensus. And when that report came out, and Philippines was #1 and was above US, and Vietnam was #3. It's just, everyone was like, whoa, what's going on in Southeast Asia? 6 out of the top 10 countries were in Asia. 4 out of the top 10 countries were in Southeast Asia. So obviously something was happening in that area. So, and for the play to earn economy, most of the people that sign on to be play to earn scholars are the unbanked and underbanked. So if you're asking me if crypto is helping solve that issue, I believe so. A lot of our scholars are, when they started with us, they were making a few $100s a month. SLP did crash, but we have been supplementing Axie accounts with other play-to-earn games out there. One of them, such as Star Sharks, which can earn about $1,000 US a month for scholars. We had scholars basically, one of them just emailed us the other day and told us, very touchingly said that they were so thankful. They were living in their car. They played Star Sharks for 1 month and was then able to put a down payment or a deposit on an apartment. And their whole family was living in a car. Him, his wife, and his 2 kids. I mean, that is extremely touching. So if you're asking me, can crypto or Web3 help alleviate poverty? You know, it's already doing it right now with just the play-to-earn economy.
Yeah, and it's unlike, you know, kind of crypto mining where you actually have to do a lot of investments into the rigs and the power that comes with it to mine Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies. You know, the upfront investment to do play to earn is fairly minimal compared to that, right?
Yep. Next question, Sagar. Would intergame asset trading ever take off across developers or studios? You know, cross-chain is something that is the talk of the town these days. Interoperability is another one that everyone's talking about. Can assets ever cross-chain? And it's happening right now. So the answer is yes. Definitely, you know, you can take right now you have assets. There's a game that we just invested in called, I think I forgot the name. But there's another company called Metafabrics that we invested in, which will allow you to take any asset or any NFT in one asset and move it to another chain and be used. Oh, I remember the game now. Galaxy Fight Club. Galaxy Fight Club is something where I can take my Bored Ape or take whatever NFT I have and put it into the game, and it will basically screen that face, put legs and a body on it, and it's kind of like a Super Smash Brother game. So if you're asking me if there's a lot of cross-asset trading and are developers thinking about cross-chain, they definitely are. Mohammed, what potential is for virtual property in the metaverse and blockchain? What is the potential? Oh, the potential is massive. I mean, just think about it. You have, what was the highest, the most expensive piece of land on Axie world? Somebody paid $2.4 million. Oh no, 2.3 million for an Axie Infinity land. And then other plots that had a record for Decentraland is 2.4 million. So when you think about it, what is the potential of virtual property in the metaverse and blockchain? It's unfathomable right now. Nobody knows. Sky's the limit.
It's really quite interesting. You know, you have companies out there that are the kind of the land resellers, like Super World, for instance. You know, you have a lot of these companies out there selling this land in the metaverse, which, you know, I guess the contrarian viewpoint is, well, it's not tangible. I can't see it. And how do you know that the universe, the metaverse, is not infinite and can expand further, diluting the property value? This was a question I was debating someone on the other day. So, but do you think that you're going to see this trend continue, or is this just a fad that's going to kind of fall out of favor with people in terms of investing in the metaverse?
Oh God, no, this is a trend. And when you think about it right now, SimCity, Sims.
One of my favorite games when I was younger.
Was that a trend? I mean, it wasn't. It's a game that has lasted forever. Civilization, any of these. When you think about it, these games that people are playing back during the Web2 days is basically the Web3 metaverse right now. Right. People can go whoever they want. When you're chatting, back in the day, I remember when I was a teenager chatting on AOL. You know, you go on there and you type in ASL, right? Age, sex, and location. And you could be whoever you want. Nobody knew who I was. I could have been a girl speaking, you know, pretending to be a girl. Nobody would know that. I mean, that's what's the beauty of the metaverse. Which platform best of NFTs and how to find the trend NFTs? Kindly share the links to the website. Sikander, Ali, if you want to know what's going on and what people are buying and what we call smart money or whales, I would go to Nansen.ai. It's not
How do you
cheap.
spell
Nansen.ai. It's Nanscn.ai. It's not cheap. I think the monthly plan is about for the standard, the cheapest plan. For yearly plans, $1,400 US. The VIP plan is $15,000 a year, and the alpha plan is $30,000 a year. So, you know, it's definitely not cheap. Are you investing in any? Huh?
Go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead. I was just reading the next question.
I was just going to say, there's going to be a lot of, you know, media companies sprouting up that are going to be covering this, because, you know, the metaverse is basically going to be, you know, a new sector for them to actually focus on and cover for trends like this. So for our previous question there, that's pretty useful information. So you said the name of the website again. What was that website? Nansen.ai?
Yep, Nansen.ai.
Nansen.ai.
Yeah. Now, next one. Are you invested in any DAOs? Do you see a role for investors in DAOs? You know, DAOs is pretty much the Web3 version of LLCs. So if you're asking if I invest in any DAOs, I would say that most of the guilds that I invested in are DAOs. Now, DAOs are decentralized autonomous organizations. Are they decentralized and autonomous right now? They're not. But they have a plan to become decentralized and autonomous, meaning that pretty much once you launch the token, they pretty much have like a 5-year plan that in 5 years, they're going to disperse all their tokens to the public. And then once that happens, it's pretty much the decision, or the governance token is then in the hands of the public to make decisions on how the company goes. It wouldn't be in the hands of the few that started the company. So yes, I've invested in several DAOs out there. I'm even part of a DAO called Sweeper DAO, which what we do is we sweep the floors of blue chip NFTs. You have people like Pleasure DAO that buy really expensive NFTs, and then you have us, Sweeper DAO, where we sweep the floor of the blue chip NFTs. Next, how bad actors could exploit this technology to create a 1984-esque dystopian world? Please, how can we stop this? You know, I except for the fact that most of the companies that we invest in, their smart contracts have to be audited by top firms like Certic, QuantStamp, and other auditing companies out there. So I don't even know if 1984 a dystopian world, was it?
I'm trying to. I was born in '83, and you know, I'm still alive and kicking, and I don't remember what happened in 1984. I'm trying to think. What was there? Was it that Apple commercial, the dystopian world that was 1984? Or no, the book. Yes. Thank you, Z, in the general chat section.
Wow, yeah.
Book 1984. Okay.
That shows us how.
I was just gonna say we're a little thrown for a loop. So there are some questions. I do see, you know, we've got a couple more in there. So we answered that one, and we have a couple in the general one. In the general chat, some people dumped some questions in there. I'm just going to read them, and then we'll go back to the ones in Q&A. If you have, we've got about 15 more minutes with Brian. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A column there on the right-hand side of the Bevy platform. You'll see it. But let's go to, so Sikandar, we answered that one. Sabrina Smith, any opinions on Nifty Kit or NFT management systems to make it easier for digital asset management?
I don't know Nifty Kit. Is that the easy way to create, manage, and sell NFTs? Wow, I've never heard of this. So
new stuff sprouting up every day.
Yes. Yes, they do. So the question was, are NFT management systems to make it easier for digital asset management? Now, there's actually a lot of companies that are coming into the space for the management of NFTs. As you guys have heard of the OpenSea exploit that's happened, people getting their NFTs stolen. And then there was another exploit by OpenSea a month ago, where if you would have listed your product and then delisted it, transferred it into another account, and put it back, that account, that NFT could still be sold. So are there management systems to make it easier for? But you know, it's if you use your ledger, it would never get stolen. If you would have kept it on your ledger and not on your MetaMask, and management systems for NFTs. I don't know of any off the top of my head. So I'm sorry, Sabrina, I really can't help answer that question. The next one, Robert Allender. Now that Russia has invaded Ukraine, what impacts will that have on things crypto?
Well, we saw, I think Bitcoin, the last price.
Yeah, so not financial advice. Do your own research. Of course, a lot of people right now are dumping crypto, just like equities markets are probably going to dump when US wakes up. You know, Putin was really smart to go and start this war when pretty much Europe was about to wake up and US is going to sleep, which means that when Europe wakes up, the sell-off that happened in China will probably lead to the sell-off that happens to Europe. And then when US wakes up, there's going to be another sell-off. But, you know, for crypto, when you think about it, Russia themselves, because of all the sanctions that are put against them by the rest of the world powers, they're going to have to rely heavily on cryptocurrency. And that is exactly why Putin is pushing for Bitcoin to become Russia's legal tender right now. So I guess you could say, what impact will those have on all things crypto? I think crypto is going to recover a lot faster than equity markets.
Yeah, and just a quick check. Yeah, and you know, like we said, no financial advice here. This is just analytics and looking at information that's coming out. Dow futures down more than 600 right now, so it's going to be a pretty. Looks like it's going to shape up to be a fairly brutal day on Wall Street when U.S. markets open, and Bitcoin is down a little bit more than 5% right now. But it is, you know, Robert's question is fairly interesting because, you know, we're expecting the Biden administration to come out with a very heavy sanctions package, which is, you know, could potentially go after things that fiat currency needs to trade, like the SWIFT banking system. So does that, I guess, make it more important potentially for what crypto is, because it's totally decentralized? It will be much harder to enact punitive measures against Russia in crypto land, I guess.
Yeah. Stevie, that's a pretty good question. Can you talk a little about how challenging users retention is going to be for P2E games? There's so many games coming up, and crypto being generally volatile, e.g. the example, the SLP crash. And what is your opinion on the longevity and do on GameFi to stay relevant on the long run? Great. I love talking about this. I love talking about GameFi. You know, the SLP crash really has nothing to do with the volatility of crypto. Because if you think about it, it really actually is talking about the flawed game loop of Axie. Axie just did not think about the contract for SLP is basically unlimited minting. Right now, they are minting more SLP than is being used. So if you talk about common economics, supply and demand, of course, SLP is crashing because more people are, there's more minting of XLPs than people are using it. Now, for certain games, if you're talking about right now that have come out, such as Star Sharks or Fancy Birds or Pegaxi, these games right now, they're still new. They've only been launched for maybe about 2 months, but their secondary token, for example, for Star Sharks, SCA, for these other games that are coming out. I don't know which one it is for Pegaxi, but they're actually holding up quite well. Star Sharks right now, they're earning per scholar per month somewhere around $700 to $1,000 US, which is a pretty a little bit lower than where Axie was at an all-time high. So what, in my opinion, and what is your opinion on the longevity and what the teams need to do on? So the most important thing is your secondary token doesn't unlimited minting. It needs to really be backed by something. Collateralize your second in-game token, saying that the only way to mint these in-game token is to collateralize your governance token. So then there definitely is a maximum of minting of the secondary. The most important thing is to make sure your secondary token doesn't go into a death spiral like SLP does. There has to be there has to be a burning mechanism as much as what the public is using, or even more, to make sure that the price doesn't crash like SLP did.
All right, we got about 10 more minutes to go and a couple more questions in there. So Bill or Soki Chia, what will the Metaverse Web3 landscape look like in the near future in, say, 5 years for traditional businesses? That's an interesting one. How traditional businesses adapt?
Right now, if you guys can see, just look at Sandbox. You have traditional businesses buying up land right now. So what do I see? And I don't want to say that this is what everyone believes, but I truly believe that there's going to be a lot of jobs being offered. Traditional businesses will be doing fashion shows, will be doing concerts. People will be spending so much time in the metaverse that these traditional businesses will need to cater to those people, either doing advertisements to them, or even, hosting parties, hosting events. There's going to be so much of that done on the metaverse that in the next 5 years, you'll see a lot of traditional businesses jump into Web3 and cater to those people that are spending a lot of time in the Web3 world.
Yep. Got another question, Ann Lowe, noob question. I guess, as she says, is it accurate to say that blockchain is still tethered to the internet? As such, the internet is a weak link in blockchain. Is this a security gap that can be solved with blockchain and SpaceX?
I don't understand why SpaceX.
Yeah. Maybe Neuralink or one of Elon's companies. Yeah, interesting question.
I know SpaceX is one of Elon's companies, but how does that have to do anything? Unless you're talking about the internet, the space link, Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. Yeah,
the Starlink that SpaceX is building, but Web3 is connected to the internet. There's no going around it. People are programming on it. I mean, if you don't have internet, you're not going to be able to do blockchain because everything has to be done on chain, or it's pretty much done on the blockchain. So not much stuff is done off chain except for a lot of the games that are playing. Sometimes you'll have the settlement being done off chain, but then, the game being played off chain, but then when the settlement happens or the next round happens, it always goes back on chain. So if the internet is the weak link in blockchain, then we're all screwed.
It's that or nothing. Couple more questions there. Zay B, with your investments, do you apply a climate impact lens at all? Impact on environment from the activity. So that goes back to, I guess, what the environmental impact is.
Yeah, impact investing. Now, a lot of stuff that we do in we do a lot of token investing into companies. So the stuff that we do aren't nothing to do with equipment, nothing to do with hardware. So most of our investments come on, in the metaverse, if there are either games or there are protocols. So I'm not sure if any of them have much impact on environment. I have been seeing actually quite a few companies out there that are turning carbon credit trading and putting that on the blockchain. So there's a lot of interesting usages of the blockchain. Now, when you do carbon trading, and if it can be recorded on the blockchain, everyone can see it. I mean, people say that Tesla made more money selling their carbon, carbon savings than they did in selling Tesla cars.
Interesting, very interesting. And that'd be a pretty staggering number, I'd imagine. Let's see, we got 2 more questions and about 4 more minutes. Muhammad Harris, do we see crypto NFTs hard binded to Metaverse, or do they have independently potential to in the future? In other words, are the two mutually exclusive or not?
Well, right now, Metaverse it's still very new, and crypto and NFTs are thriving without the Metaverse. Profile pictures aren't really the Metaverse. So they're pretty much just a profile picture that people buy and are speculating. So, I don't think they're hard binded to each other at all, because right now they're not.
You're right.
They have the potential to in the future. Well, I don't know, who knows, but I don't think there will be. I think that there's going to be so many different applications in NFTs and in crypto that the Metaverse is only one small piece of it. So the answer for me would be no.
All right. Nadeem Ashraf, why crypto is the only way to turn back the tide of cancel culture, censorship, and the growing authoritative learnings of politicians all across the world? So,
do you want to take that one? You want to take that one? Do you want to take that one?
Oh no, I'm just the moderator in this, Brian. Now, I'm trying to decipher that. I think what Nadeem is saying, and Nadeem, if you're still there, feel free to type in and clarify. But is there a way that crypto can kind of turn the tide of cancel culture and censorship? So it kind of goes back, I guess, to the democratization talk.
Well, crypto right now, anything you do on the blockchain can be tracked. So, for example, I think there was a new article came out about a CEO and a CTO that potentially stole $10 billion worth of Ethereum about 5 years ago. And they were able to track it to them because they were able to go on the blockchain and just track the usages of their wallets. They can, pretty much guess. So when you think about it, anything you do on the blockchain is trackable.
Because that's the whole point of the blockchain. So in so many ways, right?
Yeah. So, if you're asking if there's any censorship in blockchain, there is none, because it's all out there for everyone to see. The growing authoritative leanings of politicians all across the world. And that's what makes it scary for those politicians, I think, is the visibility that blockchain allows. And I think that's what scares them.
It's hard to hide stuff when using the blockchain. We're just about out of time. The one final question is from Johan. What's the best way to connect with Brian? LinkedIn, Twitter? This is a good time to talk about what the handles are for social media for IBC Crypto and yourself, I guess.
Yes, there you go. Lubal13 can do Twitter. That works with Twitter. That works with LinkedIn. And that's about it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, what's that?
That's my gaming handle also.
Right. Yeah. So people can find you online in the metaverse at that handle as well, right?
Probably.
Good stuff. Well, Brian, it's 5 o'clock. We appreciate your time and taking an hour for us today to walk us through kind of the VC's perspective of everything related to the metaverse, crypto, and Web3. A lot of great questions in there. You've got your social media info there, so if anybody wants to follow you and connect, they can. And have a great rest of the day, and thanks for coming to the Web3 Summit. Thanks, Brian.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we're going to continue right now into our final session, which is the workshop that we're going to do with Eddie and Gaurang. So I'm just going to bring up Eddie. He is in the Web3 Summit. So Eddie, you should be able to turn your camera on right now. And Gaurang is there as well. All right,
Hi,
Eddie.
Hi.
Eddie, how you doing? You're joining us from Singapore today.
Yes,
correct?
Yes, correct.
Awesome.
I'm in
Gaurang,
Singapore.
you're,
Yes.
And you're there in London, although you got
Yes.
ties to Singapore as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so you guys are going to do a workshop, which a lot of people, you've seen, if you've tuned in, you've seen all the questions around Web3, the metaverse. There's a lot of people new to this space that are really looking to get some guidance as to just exactly what it is. And I know from Denise that you've done this workshop before at another Startup Grind event, and it went very, very well. So we're all looking forward to that. I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys. So this is a true workshop. I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys, and then if you need me to jump back in to moderate any questions once you guys get through your presentation, just let me know. But right now, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Curtis. And we were following the previous questions, and we noticed very interesting questions. So keep them coming. Let's see. You want your screen, Gaurang?
Yes, I'll do that now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so I just introduced myself quickly. Yeah, so this is the main topic, Web2 versus Web3. I mean, this is something that is not completely new, has been going on for a while, but obviously we'll discuss how blockchain and now, of course, NFTs and Metaverse are accelerating this trend, hopefully towards Web3. So my name is Eddie Travia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Concilium Group. I've been in blockchain since 2013, and actually originally active in Asia. We organized the first conference in Asia. It was called Bitcoin Singapore 2013 in November of that year. And that was the start of quite a long adventure in this space, an adventure through which we managed to list our company in the UK and more recently in the US. And an adventure through which as well I had the pleasure to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and talented developers and people in general in this space. I'm also the regional director Asia Pacific at IOV Labs. We have a Singapore-based joint venture between that company, IOV Labs, and Concilium Group. IOV Labs is known for implementing solutions on the RSK blockchain. And as I was saying, I've been basically helping a lot of entrepreneurs throughout their early years of founding companies in this space. And with Concilium, we have invested in more than 20 companies in this space. And we have also helped more than 20 companies doing issuing tokens, mostly in the 2017-18 era. Gaurang, I'll let you.
Great. Thank you, Eddie. Hi, everyone. I'm Gaurang. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Indoors. We are an NFT studio, and we build, and soon we are venturing into the metaverse as well as a company. Personally, I've been working in the blockchain space for about 6 years now. So actually, I started writing smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain even before Ethereum was out. So I was writing on the testnet actually before Ethereum was launched. So yeah, my background is software developer. I've been, I love coding, I love technology, and I love building great products. Although I haven't done much coding in the last 2 years, focusing on the business side as well. But yeah, that's my background. And today we're going to speak about play to earn gaming, metaverse, and blockbots. Yeah, later on, just as an example. Eddie, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Gaurang. So yes, we're going to look at these topics. I mean, I know you've covered a bit of that already, of course, with previous speakers and sessions, but very happy to answer your questions as well. We're going to look at metaverse. Of course, it's obviously an evolving topic and an evolving technology, like everything in blockchain and technology in general. But of course, as you may know, if you have been in this space for a few years, everything goes quite fast in the world of crypto and blockchain industry. So we're going to look at this evolution, let's say, of blockchain towards the metaverse. And as well, we're going to look at more in details specific games, like, for example, blockbots, which has been designed by Indoors. And of course, Gaurang will speak more about that. For disclosure, Consilium Group is an investor in Indoors. And so that's why we, as well, Gaurang and I have known each other for several years now.
Yeah,
so
thanks for that, Eddie.
as you
for your confidence.
So as you may know, as probably everyone today knows, brands are embracing the NFT space. It's almost not one day going by without a brand announcing some kind of partnership with NFTs or with sometimes metaverse or virtual worlds. But of course, there are some early pioneers in the space. So for example, you may have heard about Animoca Brands, one of the first very active players in the NFT space and in the gaming as well. So they've started working early on in the last couple of years with a lot of established brands on building the presence in the NFT space. And you may have also heard about Top Shot, which has been a successful project for the NBA, selling video clips of games. And then there are many luxury brands, and one of them is Gucci, for example, dipping their toes, starting to sell items, starting to put apparel in the virtual world and selling digital items and accessories. The next one, Gaurang, please. Thank you. So these are so we're looking just at, a lot of very famous brands, very, very famous names, but I guess in part of what is attracting these brands is also, let's say, the fact that this space has become as measured by, for example, NFT sales, NFT transactions. It's quite interesting to see that there's been a very big inflection point last year. So the first quarter, we see 1.2 billion in NFT sales, and then we jump to the last quarter at 11 billion. And for certain specific items, digital items, like for example, virtual land, there's been a huge increase as well between the first quarter of 2021 and the first quarter of 2022 this year. So all these numbers are available online. You can look, and we can look a little bit deeper into how many wallets are being involved and how many wallets are, for example, playing what we call unique wallets playing in certain games, for example, like play to earn games, which are powered by blockchain these days. Next slide. So in terms of the type of NFTs, of course, there is this very large kind of sector called collectible, this very large category of NFTs, which of course can include a lot of the collections that you may have seen. Many of them are 10,000, 8,000, 5,000, and so forth. Or in the art space is more one-for-one, and as well utility NFTs, which, for example, give access to certain service or a certain area, certain game, and so forth. But if we look more specifically, you see that game and metaverse at the moment still represent a small portion of that. Okay, I see a question which I can take now because it's based on the previous graph. So primary and secondary markets, that's a good question. If you're not playing with NFTs every day, primary market is the market where, for example, at the first the minting of the NFTs, the new NFTs come out on the market for the first time. That would be the primary market. Of course, some marketplaces like OpenSea are catering to both primary and secondary markets, but usually the numbers are secondary markets are for the secondary sales and primary markets as for the first time that the collection is minted. Now, what is very important and very interesting as well in the world of NFTs is that, especially for artists and creators, you don't only make money on the primary market. So for example, a regular artist would do a painting, sell it once to a collector or a gallery and so forth, and that's it. However, in the NFT world, because you can track, as it was said in the previous Q&A, you can track everything on the blockchain, which means that the original creator can still get royalties down the road for the whole life cycle of his or her piece of art, right? So this is very important and is bringing a lot of artists in the world of NFTs, because as you may know, in a lot of areas like music, entertainment, art, there is still, most of the money is made by the top sellers, and the top sellers may represent maybe 1% of the artists, for example, on Spotify. So all the other artists are more or less struggling, but now with this with NFTs, for example, they can sell their music, let's say, or their creation to their community, but also continue collecting royalties all the way on the secondary sales. The secondary sale is very important in the world of NFTs. Go ahead, go on, next one. Actually, go 2 slides because I think we covered. Yes, so this is just a quick highlight to say that there is a lot of course, this is all data, right? So data from the first sales, primary sales, secondary sales, data from what we call in NFTs floor price. Floor price meaning the lowest price at which an NFT is listed on a marketplace. Sometimes it's across different marketplaces, but all this is data. So you have a lot of tools for analytics. I saw that Nansen was mentioned before, which is a great tool, but Dune Analytics is a bit more of a cheaper tool, and one that you can, model and prepare do your own reports, basically build your own reports with the data that is out there available. So this is just a few examples. For example, a NFT collection, one of them is called Cool Cats, and you can track the floor price across a certain period, for example. Thank you, Goran. Next one. So, these are quite known now. Everybody has heard now about CryptoPunks normally by Larva Labs. People have heard about Bored Apes and the crazy prices that they have reached. There was also this rock collection. So obviously, as it's often the case with blockchain, when prices start being very high, then you get a lot of media attention. You get a lot of attention from people who have enough wealth to buy into this type of, let's say, art pieces or just collectibles like these are. And then even some of those go to Christie's, Sotheby's, etc. So there are a lot of major auction houses now auctioning off these Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and so forth. So here, what is important is that it's kind of a symptom of the success of the whole sector, that there are some collections that are doing better than others, where the floor price is very high, and where this price and where these NFTs get to a very, what we call record prices, few $1 million. Again, this is a market. This is up to supply and demand. If people want to belong to that group, it's a statement of wealth. It's a bit the distinction I usually make between having digital wealth and being digitally wealthy in a way. So basically, you're not just owning now cryptocurrency. You don't have to show your wallet to everyone, showing that, for example, you have 500 ETH on a wallet, which is a lot of money. Instead, you buy one of these NFTs for 100 or 200 ETH, and therefore it becomes a status symbol as well, of course.
Yeah, just to add on to that.
Yes.
So for example, with Bored Apes, the floor price right now, which is the minimum amount that you need to spend for buying one NFT token in that collection, is about 98 Ether. It was 98 Ether yesterday, which is a lot of money. It's like about more than $200,000. So it's kind of buying a Lamborghini or like a Ferrari, right? As you were saying, it's a status symbol.
Correct. So again, these prices have attracted a lot of people and have generated new businesses as well. Among the new businesses, Visa is obviously not a new business, but the NFT part of Visa is a new business. So now Visa has published a report last year about how they want to engage with NFTs, facilitate payments with NFTs. The very interesting part is that, as you know, a lot of mainstream companies didn't want to be associated to crypto in the early days. And NFTs have changed that a lot, because NFTs create that kind of emotional attachment. It's no longer a token. It's no longer just a token or a Dogecoin or a Bitcoin or an Ether. Now we're talking about a piece of art. We're talking about something representing something that you may like, that you may not like, but there is a new emotional link, I would say. And that, of course, is very new. And that has surprised the world of crypto, because it has really pushed crypto into a wider population. Artists, for example, that maybe 2 years ago were not really interested at all in crypto or blockchain technology. But today, because of the royalties, because of the community that is moving there and on the metaverse, of course, not only NFTs, they are interested now. And what has been surprising is the fact that NFTs has become actually one of the most successful vectors of mainstream adoption of crypto, and one that was not expected at all. Next slide. So out there are NFT marketplaces, of course, because you need a place to trade. You need a place where collectors are going to find the works of art or the collectibles that they want to buy. Of course, there is also on a very large one like OpenSea, you also have virtual land, any type of NFT, gaming assets and so forth, in-game assets. So it's not only art, but you have different approaches. So for example, OpenSea is very open, as the name says it, which means anyone can come and sell their work. Of course, this can lead to copies and so forth. There is some work being done there. There's some verifications that are being done, and to make sure that you buy the collection you think you're buying. And then you have curated marketplaces. Minty.art is a good example of those. On Minty.art, you buy art pieces, but they are curated, so not all artists are there. They have to go through a certain process. And there's also an interesting concept, which is patronage, where as a collector, as a patron, you have kind of a different level of interaction with the artist. And that's also very interesting in this world, is that, as you may have seen, there are also NFTs of celebrities, let's say, or sports player. And again, NFTs become a new channel of communication with fans of the artist, fan of the sports player, football player, and so forth. So NFTs create, again, a new channel for that. And that's, again, something very interesting in addition to any kind of interaction we have known until now. It's quite unique, I would say, in that sense. And I put LuxRare there just as an interesting example of a platform that has kind of tried to cannibalize OpenSea, that is very similar to OpenSea, but just has a token in the system. And interestingly, that token helps them to grab a lot of market share from established players like OpenSea, who until now have decided not to drop or sell a token or create a token. Next one. This is one of our projects between actually Indoors and Concilium. It's called Nifty Labs. It's a Gibraltar-based venture. And what we're doing is we're developing marketplaces, white label marketplaces that can be used by other external operators who may want to create their own marketplace and sell their product or customize an existing marketplace and go faster to market. In this one, in the first one we have done, it's done on RSK, and the particularity of RSK is that it's linked to Bitcoin. So the former marketplaces I've shown you, Mintable is on Polygon, which is a layer 2 of Bitcoin. OpenSea is on Ethereum, layer 2 of Ethereum. OpenSea is on Ethereum, but also on Polygon, and I think soon on Solana. And LuxRare is on Ethereum. So most of the NFT transactions today are done either on Ethereum or on layer 2 of Ethereum. And for this one, and some on Solana as well, which is a different blockchain. But for this one, we chose RSK, which is a layer 2 to Bitcoin, and that's quite unique. But this layer 2 to Bitcoin is also a smart contract platform and what we call EVM compatible, meaning it's basically easy for anyone who has experience with Ethereum to build and to build on RSK as well. Next slide. So to introduce the world of Metaverse, which is actually a topic that Gaurang is going to cover in a few minutes, don't want to confuse you here, but it's not easy to define Metaverse, because in many ways, Metaverse is not just a virtual world. It's not just a game, for example, a video game. It's not just a virtual city or a digital and virtual economy. It's a bit of all together in a way. So it's often referred as an alternate reality. But let's say that the first or the closer that we get to a metaverse these days, for example, when you speak about Decentraland, Sandbox, we see a bit of all these characteristics. So virtual world, virtual city, virtual economy, and so forth. Games, you can have games on Sandbox and Decentraland. But at the same time, it's a whole combination that makes it very, interesting and effective. And we, in the blockchain space, we hope that the direction is, of course, building on blockchain. One of the reasons why we hope it's going to be on blockchain is because we're trying to move away from this Web2, which is characterized mostly by kind of a corporate grab on everything. On all the data, mainly user data, and we're moving to a more decentralized space where you interact with wallets like browser wallets. You interact in a space where, although all the NFTs are digitally unique because of blockchain, it's still open and uncensored space. So basically, you can interact. There is no segregation apart from the fact that you need access to this world. So you need, of course, internet, you need maybe a little bit of cryptocurrency, but you can interact, you can come in, and your data stays your data. But of course, as it was said in previous session, The whole decentralized paradigm has not been, we're not there yet. There's still forms of centralization. There are still risks in the smart contracts and so forth. But at least we believe that's the right direction. And it's a direction that would move us as well from Web2, which is, for a lot of us, is the web platforms that we interact on a daily basis, especially social media, and move away from that and go to an open world of Web3, where you don't have this data that is retained and almost used against you on a daily basis. So that's kind of the direction. But I will let now Gaurang tell you more about the metaverse, games, and all these fun things you can do in that world.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. As I said, I'm a software developer by background. I'm also a gamer. I love gaming. So I have a PS5. I spend a lot of time on playing these amazing games. And when I read about the metaverse, when I started looking at the metaverse, it was like a natural fit for me, because metaverse essentially right now is kind of like a game. It looks like a game. It feels like a game. And metaverse is a convergence of NFTs and play-to-earn gaming in a sense. And that's why people like me and a lot of people right now, millions of people, are attracted to this phenomena, right? So in this talk today, we are going to focus mainly on the Web3 metaverses, which are crypto metaverses, not really Web2. And through all of these slides, we are going to kind of draw parallels or draw comparison between Web2 world and the Web3 world. So to begin with, let's start with what is a metaverse, right? So Eddie told us what metaverse is not, and what is the confusion about metaverse. But now I'll tell you what is the metaverse. So if you look at popular novels like Snow Crash and Ready Player One, these were the pioneer novels which introduced the concept of metaverse. Arguably, Snow Crash was the first novel which created the word metaverse or popularized the word metaverse. So and you must have seen all these Back to the Future movies and all these other movies, or even Marvel movies, right? So all these sci-fi movies, sci-fi novels have a habit of coming true. So if you look at Back to the Future movie, most of those things are possible right now. You have hoverboards, you have these Google glasses and all these things. So all these things after a while, right? Even in the pop culture, we have a lot of references to the metaverse. So Second Life was a game. It's very, and it was again kind of versus, although it didn't have any currencies in there, or it didn't have any tokens or crypto stuff in there, because Bitcoin wasn't even invented at. Ready Player One was another very popular movie by Hollywood, and it popularized the metaverse again. And metaverse really is a combination of these two words, meta and universe. Yes. So moving on. Yeah. So the metaverse has emerged in the last few years, I would say, right? So Second Life was kind of the first metaverse game in a way, although it wasn't called metaverse at the time really. But in the last couple of years, since the emergence of Decentraland or Sandbox, metaverse is gaining popularity. And last year, when rebrand to Meta, that was kind of the tipping point for metaverse, and a lot of people now have started looking at meta. Essentially, if you look at metaverse, it's kind of like a persistent live digital universe where you can get absorbed and you can get lost in that alternate reality. That is possible in the metaverse with AR or without AR. So there are a few metaverses where you can wear the VR goggles like Oculus Quest and experience those things. While there are a few metaverses like the crypto metaverses which are not yet integrated with VR, but you can still do a lot of things. You can still feel like you're in a different world altogether. So yeah, again, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Google, all these companies are looking at the metaverse. Facebook, as you know, has rebranded to Meta. They have their own VR goggle, Oculus Quest. Microsoft also has their own lens called HoloLens. It's kind of like an AR platform, AR or extended reality or something like that. Yeah. So right now, if you look at the leading metaverses, these are the top meta. Sandbox, arguably, is, I personally feel like Sandbox is the best metaverse, although it hasn't launched yet. So they had their public alpha this year, where you could go and use the metaverse. It's just amazing that you can do in Sandbox. So in Sandbox, the characters are called 3D voxel characters. So it kind of looks like Minecraft or Roblox or all these games where it's kind of pixelated but in voxels, so 3D pixels. Decentraland is more like a 3D character. They have contours and they are not voxel, but they are more 3D characters. And Decentraland is the most popular metaverse in existence right now. There are millions of people using Decentraland every day, and it's getting really popular. Crypto voxels is another 3D voxel metaverse similar to Sandbox, but Crypto voxels has very limited capabilities as compared to Sandbox. But nonetheless, Crypto voxels is really popular among the crypto OGs, which means the old people in crypto, and also among artists. So it's quite quirky, Crypto voxels. If you go to the main crypto metaverses, we have Meta, Facebook. So with the Oculus VR ecosystem, they are creating their own ecosystem around this. You can create your own apps in the metaverse. You can create meeting rooms, exercise apps, all these things. Microsoft is coming up with their Lens as well, and Somnium Space is a relative newcomer in popularity, just behind Crypto voxels, if you think about it, within the crypto metaverses. Now let's go into some of these metaverses one at a time. I'll tell you how these metaverses look, how they feel. So this is an example from the Sandbox metaverse. This was when they had opened up the public alpha of Sandbox a couple of months ago. And this black thing that you see here, this podium, that's where you spawn. So when you enter the metaverse, that's where your avatar actually spawns, and it gets, it just appears there essentially, right? And from this place, this podium, you can go into any of these other spaces. So Sandbox is divided into something called lands or plots of lands. So this thing that you see here, this is one plot of land, and this plot is connected to other plots. So let's say Snoop Dogg has a plot there. Walking Dead, which was a very popular TV series, they have a plot there. Bought a lot of land in Sandbox, and other brands are coming as well. Adidas, Binance, I think Tesla also has some land there. So it looks like this. It's a 3D voxel character. And the best thing about Sandbox is that on every land you can create your own game. So in a few slides. Then this is how Decentraland looks. Also, on avatars are more 3D in nature. And this was again one of the pop-up stores of Samsung. So Samsung wanted to open a new store, and they decided to open that in the metaverse. So in this store, you can go inside. On this side, you can see some small items there. You can look at those items, and you can order them from the metaverse. Now imagine, that's so awesome, because you can order these things in the metaverse, and they can be delivered at your house, or they get delivered in your, which is so awesome. The Samsung store, also the three triangles that you see here, the violet, the green, and the yellow triangle. Behind these triangles, there were a few quests. So in the Samsung store, you could go and complete a few quests. So quests are like game items, right? So you have to complete a few challenges, and if you complete those challenges, you could get some NFTs as rewards, which is so awesome. Then this is the Crypto voxels metaverse. As I said, Crypto voxels is also similar to Sandbox in that it's like a 3D voxel metaverse. This is actually our office in metaverse. Indoors has a headquarters in Crypto voxels as well. And this was so we have a dance floor at the top of the office, and we threw a party in the metaverse. So all these small dolls that you see, these are party goers. These are the avatars of people who were attending the party in the metaverse. On this screen, you can see a few DJs who were live streaming music from Germany, and all these avatars. So at the height of this, we had 500 people attending the party just all over our office nearby, and we had 500 people attending the party in the metaverse. This is just nuts, And we had DJs live streaming from Germany. and these people were joining from all over the world. So people always ask me, what can you do in the metaverse right now? People say metaverse is a buzzword, metaverse is just a hype, but there are a lot of things you can do in metaverse right now, and this is just the beginning. Metaverse is just getting started. Facebook haven't even launched their metaverse yet, and we can do so many things right now. So you can actually sell wearables in the metaverse. So I'll give you show you an example. So in this example, you can see this small ninja here, right? So all of these things are called wearables. So for this ninja, you can buy the mask. You can so each wearable is an NFT. So you can buy the mask, you can buy a sword, you can buy, let's say, a gun, or you can buy nice shoes and glasses. All these things become wearables. You can buy and sell land plots. So in fact, my wife actually gifted me a land in, and it was the most awesome gift that I received in a while. I love that gift. So you can buy and sell land. So some people are actually buying land in the metaverse, and I just saw a tweet and living with their parents in the real world. That's just crazy. You can create games in the metaverse. So Sandbox, you can start creating game on every land that you buy. On Decentraland, there are already games which are live. So there's a big casino in Decentraland. People can go and play poker there, and there are thousands of people playing poker every day. They are making millions of dollars through this casino right now. You can create apps. So Oculus headset, it's like its own ecosystem. So similar to Google Play Store and Apple App Store, you can start apps in the Oculus store, App Store. You and events in the metaverse right now. So as I said, we had a party in Crypto Voxels. I have spoken at an event in Decentraland. In fact, for the Startup Grind last event with Dennis, we were live streaming this event in the metaverse as well. And people were attending this talk, like this similar talk in the metaverse. So it was like a talk about the metaverse in the metaverse, which is just too meta. And there was a couple in India who actually conducted their wedding in the metaverse. It was a Harry Potter themed wedding. And what happened is the ghost of their father actually joined the wedding. He made an appearance in the metaverse. Yeah. So the market size is really big right now, and this is just indicative. So just one game. So so now we're talking about the market size of everything: metaverse, P2E, gaming, and NFTs. So now if you look at the P2E, Axie Infinity, which is one of the most popular games in the space, Axie Infinity did a total volume of $4 billion last year. Then if you look at in-game accessories and wearables, so just in Decentraland, the volume of wearables, that is selling your clothes for your avatars, selling your t-shirts, selling your glasses, selling your shoes, just those items, the total volume for that was $500 million. And right now there are more than 1.6 million NFT traders and wallets in the world. And again, this is just the beginning. This is just getting mainstream. People are just realizing that and hearing these words, but it still has a long way to go, I feel. So what are wearables, right? So as I was saying, the wearables could be your, a nice T-shirt, a nice, your trousers, your shoes. I bought these glasses, which look like Ready Player One. There are some companies. So Adidas is actually doing a collaboration in the metaverse. They are creating shoes in the metaverse for your avatars. So you can either go out and buy your $100 shoes from Adidas store in the real world, or you can buy them for your avatars in the metaverse as well. As I said, I gave a conference in Decentraland. You had a few people attending the conference, and there were a few people sitting on chairs as well, listening to them. So now let's quickly come to Web2 versus Web3, and then we'll start talking about the P2E gaming, play to earn gaming a little bit. So now if you look at traditional games, which are Web2 games, examples like, just talking about the mobile games right now. So Candy Crush or Clash of Clans. These games do not have any NFTs in them, obviously. They were before the Web3 era. But these games, they are closed environments, right? So let's say you spend some money in Candy Crush, or you spend some money in Clash of Clans to buy some potions. What happens is these weapons or these potions, they stay only in that game, right? So if I'm playing Clash of Clans, I spend money in Clash of Clans, I can't transfer these potions to another game, which is not cool, because I, as a gamer, I'm spending money in every game, and I don't want that. So as a user, I want to be able to carry those potions, those swords, those weapons in other games as well, which is not possible in the Web2 world. It's like you use once and you buy again. You use once, you buy again. You can't transfer it. But in the Web3 space, what you can do is theoretically you can buy once and you can use again and again. So now, for example, in the sandbox metaverse, if I buy a weapon, if I buy a gun, now I can start using that gun theoretically in other games as well, because this gun becomes compatible with all the games in the sandbox metaverse, which is really awesome. So if you look at games like Axie Infinity, Zedrun, Illuvium, all these games are play-to-earn games. So essentially, you as an NFT owner can play these games using your NFT avatars, and you can start earning some money. So for example, with Axie Infinity, there are people who are earning, let's say, $20 or $30 every day, and that money is more than the salary, because it's the average GDP is quite low, but people are, it's a good amount of money in Philippines. And as I said, these NFT, these things like the shields, the weapons, each of these are NFTs. A potion can be an NFT, and you can start transferring them from one game to another. And I think that is the power of P2E gaming, and that is what NFTs bring to the universe of gaming, I feel. Yeah, so this is just one portion of the map of Sandbox. Each of these dots that you see, the green dots, the white dots, each of these is a land, and you can make a game on each of these lands. So theoretically, you can have more than 100,000 games in Sandbox, which is crazy. You can also combine a few lands to make some state. So this one, for example, is a 3x3 estate. So it's combining 9 lands. This one is bigger than that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6x6 estate. This is even bigger. So essentially, right now, as Eddie was saying, each of these lands, each of these dots is an NFT, and this is bought and sold on OpenSea. So this is the secondary market that we are talking about. These are the secondary sales happening on OpenSea. And each of these lands, so the minimum price for this land right now is 3.8 Ether. That's the floor price of Sandbox, let's say. And these estates are even more expensive. And as I said, Atari and all these other, a lot of land in Sandbox right now. And the best part about Sandbox is to create a game on Sandbox, you don't even need to know coding. So they have this thing called Game Maker, where you can drag and drop your avatars, where you can drag and drop these non-playing characters, the weapons, the lava pits, for example, and you can add logic to that without knowing coding, which is quite awesome. Then let's look at another P2E game, play-to-earn game called Axie Infinity. As I said, they're doing a lot of volume. So, what the things that you see here? Sorry, yeah, these 3 things that you see. Each of these is an NFT, and that's called an Axie. Axie Infinity game, you need to have at least 3 Axies in your wallet, 3 Axie NFTs in your wallet, and then you have an opponent who also has 3 Axies, and they start playing with each other. You win or you lose based on the power of your Axies, all these things, and people are really addicted to this. So they actually get prizes or they earn money. Similarly, we have another game called Zedrun. So Zedrun is a horse racing game. So it's quite simple to play. You buy a horse or you buy multiple horses, and you start entering the horses into the races. So right now there are more than 200,000 horses on Zedrun and more than 53,000 owners, and it's really addictive. So what you do is you enter your horse in a gate, and then it just runs automatically. The race gets over in like 20 or 30 seconds. Keep doing this. So people are really addicted to this. They're actually earning a lot of money through this as well. So these are a few case studies for play-to-earn gaming right now. So I'll go a little deeper into our own case study because I know our collection the best. So I'll try to explain what a P2E game is, what is, and how NFTs play a role in that. So we are actually developing and launching our own game called Blockbouts next month, and it is a play to earn game. So you will need two NFTs. One, you will need an actual blockbot. So blockbots are 3D voxel characters similar to the characters that you saw in Sandbox, and you will also need a power-up. Essentially, a power-up is a weapon or a shield that you can buy on the market. So to play the game, you need at least one blockbot and one. And what is the business model for this game, right? So the way it works is, let's say I and Eddie, we are fighting against each other, right? I have one bot, one blockbot, and Eddie has one blockbot. So when we start the match, before we start, we have to actually pool some tokens, ERC20 tokens called IND tokens to play this match. So let's say I need to pay 10 tokens and Eddie pays 10 tokens. So this becomes the winning pool for this match. And the winner actually wins the entire pool of these. In the match, I win 10 tokens from Eddie. And Endorse, our company, as a platform, we take 5% of so the 5% of fees out of this. So we'll get 5% of 20 IND tokens. Similarly, there will also be championship matches, 5 or 10%, yeah, depending on how the game is played. So there are also championship matches. So let's say just instead of just two people like I and Eddie. So if you look at football championships or soccer championships, a lot of people start pooling their resources. So let's say 1,000 people pool 10 IND each. So now you have a pool of 10,000 IND tokens. And in this championship match, that after multiple rounds will win a part of this pool. So let's say the top person will win 5,000, the second person will win 3,000 and then 2,000. You know, so and that time again the platform will take a facilitation fee. In fact, this is how a lot of people make money. A lot of platforms make money. OpenSea also takes a 2.5% fee on every transaction, on every secondary sale. Axie Infinity makes money the same way. Zedrun also makes money in the same way. So that is a very established business model in the play to earn gaming. And so that's all. Now we can look at some questions. Eddie, you want to take the first one?
Yes. First question was, which sectors do you see more openly adopting NFTs, and best use case of metaverse in developing countries? Well, I think you covered this, Gaurang. I mean, at the moment in developing countries, the play to earn game is the one that has most adoption and most interesting for gamers because of the financial return, which is not which is meaningful, let's say, in developing countries. And the sectors where we see more openly adopting NFTs, where, as we discuss art, we discuss gaming, virtual land. We also have, as I was saying, you know, sports, celebrities, and let's say entertainment in general. Yeah. So maybe I'll let you answer to the as well.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg is actually creating his own NFT collection in the Sandbox Metaverse as well. So these are coming there. And another big thing about metaverses is, yeah, I forgot to mention that it's about schools and colleges. So people are actually conducting classes in the metaverse. So your avatar, as a student, your avatar can attend these classes, and the teacher will be speaking on a screen and live streaming the talk. So there's a lot of new applications being developed. Yeah. So the next one is, so is pay to earn model a zero sum game? Not necessarily. It depends on how each game is being developed. So for example, in the Blockbouts game, it might be closer to a zero-sum game, but in other games like Axie Infinity or Zedrun, it's not necessarily zero-sum. It depends on how each game creates their own things. Yeah. And in our case, what we might do is, in the case of Blockbots, for example, the losers might lose the game, might get a portion just for playing the game. and using this potion, they can start breeding their blog bots now. So they can start creating new blog bots NFTs using these potions. So we will kind of compensate the losers a little bit as well here. Yeah, so I was talking about visual education and edtech sector. So people are exploring these areas, although that's not the most optimal experience. So in a class for 8 hours a day might not be the most optimal experience, for example. Or even if you attend a class using your Oculus headset, I don't think you can wear the Oculus headset, or you should wear the Oculus headset for 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day. That's not optimal, definitely. But yeah, people are experimenting with these things.
You can also mention, Gaurang, that you can obviously have certificates themselves as NFTs, for example. I guess that's another application of NFT in the world of education.
Yeah. So last one, is it easy to create something like Sandbox or Decentraland? That is your own metaverse. No, it's not easy at all. So these companies have been trying to or creating this for the last 3-4 years. It takes, and it's not just about the technological complexity or the complexity with the implementation. It's also the community, right? So the reason Decentraland is so popular right now is the community loves it. The community is there. Sandbox also has a big community, and Sandbox has a very pedigree in the gaming space itself. So Sandbox as a company was creating a game earlier, and then they decided to enter into the metaverse space in, I think, 2017 or 2018, and they're still developing. They still haven't launched their metaverse. It has taken them 3 to 4 years just to come to a public alpha. It takes a lot of time. It's not easy at all. Yeah, do you have any other questions? Yeah, I think Eddie, there are a few questions in Q&A section.
Okay, let me see. Yes, there is also a Q&A section. We saw that one. Let me see.
Yeah, what would be the best and simplest ways to monetize Metaverse and play to earn? Yeah, so the play to earn model is all about monetization. So the way I look at it is, so see, right now with in the NFT space, as Eddie was mentioning, there are a lot of collectible NFTs. So these collectible NFTs can be used as your avatars, right? So look at Bored Apes collection or CryptoPunks. These can be used as your avatars in the social media. But the future, I believe, is in the interoperability between these NFT projects and these metaverses. Now imagine if each of your avatar NFTs can be converted into a game. And I think that's where we can unlock the amazing potential of play to earn gaming. And that's where we get to the next dollar industry with a T, not just a P. So I believe that the convergence of NFTs, metaverse, and play to earn gaming is going to unlock a big industry in the near future. It can definitely become a $1 trillion industry. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think we got one more there at the bottom, guys, since we're coming down. It's excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Nadeem Ashraf, which sectors do you see more openly adopting NFTs and best uses of metaverse in developing countries?
Eddie?
This, I think maybe we already answered that one, no? Is the one about developing countries? Yes, we answered this as one of the first ones. Yeah.
Let's see. I think we talked about the pay to earn model. Well, did we? I didn't quite get the answer on this. So is the pay to earn model a zero sum game?
No, it is not in most of the cases. No.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Andre Lin, currently without an affordable and portable hardware, how do you see adoption can be for Metaverse?
Yeah, so as I said, there are two types of metaverses on a very high level. One is the crypto metaverses and one is non-crypto metaverses. So now if you look at the crypto metaverses, you can go there and start using the metaverse without any hardware. So you can use Sandbox and Decentraland without any hardware at all. And that is the beauty of crypto metaverses, because you can go, as I said, buy your land, you can create your game, you can start visiting other lands, and that's just awesome. Decentraland, you can start playing games in the metaverse. So yeah, but for the metaverse, which is the Facebook metaverse, I think most likely you will need an Oculus hardware, and Facebook can answer that question. When are they going to reduce the price of Oculus? Yeah.
I think there was one question, since we were talking about Sandbox. Falguna Chu, is it easy to create something like Sandbox or decentralize, like your own metaverse? Like, in other words, is it possible to go create your own metaverse?
We already answered that, Curtis. Yeah. It is very difficult. It will take a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it's fairly difficult. Like, you're just gonna have a lot of different metaverses that would be out there. So Eddie has posted his Twitter down there. Do we have any other? Oh, we have a question. What are the best examples of NFTs? Mohammed Harris, what are the best examples of NFTs and crypto being used by companies for marketing at scale?
Well, so yeah, I mentioned Top Shot, which is an NBA, so we can see that as well as a marketing play. I mean, they are making money, they're making revenue from selling NFTs, but at the same time, obviously, it reinforces the brand, the NBA brand and the NBA ecosystem. There are also, we have seen, as I was saying, the fashion industry. So we mentioned Gucci, Adidas, Samsung, not fashion, but Samsung in the electronics and mobile world are on Decentraland. I think it's always down to doing something that can be meaningful in your branding context and making sure that your community can accept it, and beyond your community, doing something maybe artistic or maybe something that makes sense, let's say, in your sector. So we see a lot of, so for example, some already established crypto projects, like we mentioned. So for example, Bored Apes or CryptoPunks, I mean, they are companies, they are brands that are trying to ride that wave and work with them. So for example, Adidas and Bored Apes, that's what was one example. There is another brand that is well known in the non-NFT sector, which is Bathing Ape. And Bathing Ape is also developing their own NFT collection. Some fashion brands have already a well-established community. For example, we are backing one called Black, BLVCK, it's pronounced Black. And they already have an established fashion brand, and they have shops, and they have 1 million Instagram followers. So, these are examples where they go into the world of NFTs, but building on the foundation of their own community. And I think that's when it can be successful, as long as they do a collection that is in line with their branding and the experience that the users usually have about that specific brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We were talking earlier about fashion shows in the metaverse, and so I think you're pretty on point that there's going to be a lot of crossover between brands that exist in the physical world and wanting to get involved in the metaverse and doing, similar to how you see H&M, for instance, that's done brands with designer labels. You're going to start seeing that between brands in the metaverse and the real world doing collaboration. So yeah, very interesting presentation. And we got some people that are asking for recordings and slides of this, because there was a lot of information to absorb there. So we can probably sort that out later. But yeah, I mean, it's really very, very insightful. And thank you so much, Eddie and Gaurang. I know, Gaurang and Denise, if you're still there, if you want to pop back in. It was very early for you guys to join the Web3 Summit in Asia today. But I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to not only you, but all of our speakers today, Brian, Lisa, Jiao Wen, and Abbas for coming and sharing their insights. Web3 is something that's very, very hot right now, and a lot of people are just trying to figure out and to learn about it. And there's Denise, she's back. It's a little bit earlier. Hopefully you got some coffee.
Yes, I feel much better now. I'm revived. But yeah, it's been great. Really, really great. Well done, Curtis. And big shout out to everybody who's joined today as well. It was a super interesting session. and it's a very exciting time.
Very exciting time indeed. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're going to end it here, and we wish everyone a good day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And we hope to see you at another Startup Grind event soon. And don't forget the global conference. Oh, Ahmad's coming on. There's Ahmad. Yes. Right at the tail end, right before we did the sign off. But
yeah, so I was there. All of the
you were there the whole time. I know that.
This last very, very amazing for me to see that maybe we can have our houses in Metaverse and we can meet there. Invite you guys there.
Absolutely. That's what
Sounds good. So, but thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day ahead. And keep in mind the global conference for Startup Grind, Ahmad. That is, am I getting the dates right? 12th to 13th of April, right, in Redwood City.
Yes. End of April. In the good thing about this year's conferences that we are going to do it decentralized. So. Yep. 50 other chapters of Startup Globe will be hosting global conferences, and some of them will be live streamed to the main stage of Startup Grind.
Sounds great. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. So thanks again, Ahmad, for chiming in there at the end. And everyone have a great day and evening ahead, and see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.